Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles. Chapter 26-28. This was a real dragon. Now, in the eyes of all living beings, the divine dragons from an era ago had already gone extinct. However, this black divine dragon before them was undoubtedly a true divine dragon. There was no doubt about it. Long Chen could guarantee that he was facing a real dragon. He was excited and excited. It was as if his wish of many years had come true. However, he was a little worried. To him, things were not as simple as they seemed. Senior. Long Chen probed. When the black dragon discovered Long Chen's dragon body, it did not continue to attack. Instead, it quietened down and looked at Long Chen suspiciously. From its eyes, Long Chen could tell that it did not have intelligence. He didn't even have intelligence, let alone memories. It was obvious that although every part of him was a true dragon, in reality, if he didn't have intelligence, he was equivalent to a powerful beast. Sure enough, after sizing up Long Chen for a while, the black divine dragon let out a few roars, and its huge body began to shrink. It actually condensed back into a black jade stone, and its body sank into the star, leaving only the black jade dragon head outside, silently. Long Chen's eyes widened. He returned to his human form and landed on the ground. He looked at the black jade dragon head left and right. It was silent again, and no longer made any sounds or movements. In fact, it made one feel as if everything it had done was a dream. Although it is a real dragon, it seems to have lost its intelligence and no memories. What is this place? How can there be a dragon like this? If every star has a dragon like this, how many real mystical dragons were there in the densely packed stars? Furthermore, they only had the body and soul of a real dragon, but no intelligence and memories. Furthermore, they could turn into jade and sleep. What was going on? Even in the eternal celestial realm, there is a dragon sleeping there. Thinking of this, Long Chen could not help but feel excited. Although everything before him was still a mystery, at least he had a direction. As long as he could figure out the ancient mystery realm, he might be able to find out more. I need to try a few more times. The fact that the other party would not attack him because of his divine dragon body gave Long Chen a certain degree of confidence. He left this star and arrived at the second star. As expected, he discovered that this spacious star also had a black jade dragon head. The size of the black jade dragon head was related to the size of the stardust. For example, the stardust that Long Chen encountered was bigger, so the black jade dragon head would also be bigger. After being alarmed, an even larger black divine dragon descended. It possessed power comparable to that of a deity's, as well as a ferocious killing intent. Just as it was about to attack, Long Chen transformed into his divine dragon form. Just like the previous one, the black divine dragon stopped its attack and looked at Long Chen in confusion. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Long Chen hurriedly asked, "Senior, can you understand me? Where is this place? I am a descendant who inherited the essence of blood. I am a dragon warrior. Can you tell me the secrets of this place?" The black divine dragon let out a low roar and looked at Long Chen in a daze. Then, it started to shrink and turned back into a black jade dragon head. Once again, it fell into an eternal slumber, without any signs of life. That's strange. He tried a few times on other stars and found that the result was the same. The other party's intelligence was quite low, almost no different from a young beast. It would either attack or sleep. There was no other behavior, not to mention that it knew Long Chen. Long Chen woke up a dragon twice in a row. Before it transformed into a dragon, the other party did not recognize him at all. I have to go to other places. After trying a few times, he helplessly found that there was no new harvest. What made him most excited was that a true dragon actually appeared here. Unfortunately, a true dragon could not be detected at all. This starry sky seemed to be infinitely huge. He avoided the densest places and hurried away from the stars. Unexpectedly, he did not encounter any other gods along the way. This is amazing. Where did the others go? Long Chen could not help but wonder. Even the gods could run around in circles. The creator of this place must be a terrifying character. He never imagined that such a place existed in the dragon sacrificial continent. After wandering around for a while, he realized that he seemed to be going around in circles. This starry sky was actually distorted. Even if he moved forward in a straight line, he could still return to the same place. After realizing this, Long Chen paid attention and did not move forward in a straight line. Instead, he went around randomly. He did not expect to accidentally come to a new area. Just as he arrived here, he heard the sound of a fierce battle. A sharp screech came from the depths of the starry sky ahead. A god is here. Finally, he encountered others. Long Chen sped up and instantly rushed over. However, he was still very careful. He had to first confirm his opponent's identity before revealing himself. After approaching, he saw the two parties fighting. They were on a relatively small star. On one side was naturally a black true dragon, and on the other side was a divine beast of the demon clan, a strange giant bird. Both sides were very huge. The most obvious feature of the strange big bird was that it had two pupils in each eye. It was very fierce and had surging divine power. It was good at close combat. The same was true for the dragon. Both of them rarely used the power of rules. It was purely a battle between their physical bodies and divine power. This should be one of the demonic divine beasts, the bird of bright light. It should be at the ultimate level of the Tai Chi divine realm. Long Chen remembered the identity of this divine beast. The bird of bright light had claws as sharp as a destinable divine artifact. Its wings were like sharp blades and had a brutal killing power like a whirlwind. However, the most amazing thing about the dragon was that even if the bird of bright light tore it apart, it could still turn into countless jade shards and then reform into a new complete divine dragon. This caused the bird of bright light to be completely unable to hold on after fighting for a period of time. Until now, it was covered in blood and its divine power was almost exhausted. If this continued, it would definitely be killed by the black divine dragon. The divine dragon meant a lot to Long Chen, so he might not treat it as an enemy. Of course, the human and demonic gods were not his enemies either. Seeing the bird of bright light in such a pathetic state, he thought for a while and decided to save it. After all, the black dragon wouldn't die at all. Long Chen wouldn't hurt it either. This battle was really explosive. It was Long Chen's first time seeing such huge beasts fighting. Divine beasts even used brute force in a battle. This was their innate advantage. However, the dragon wasn't weak in any aspect. "Save me!" The bird of bright light cried mournfully as it fought to the death. It didn't expect that after returning to the dragon's sacrificial continent, there would actually be something in this shabby world that could hurt a divine beast like it. It was simply inconceivable. Now that its life was at stake, it was about to go crazy from anxiety. At this moment, it saw Long Chen. It immediately recalled Long Chen's identity. Although it didn't know the specific strength of this young man, after hearing that he defeated a martial god, he was at least stronger than it. It hurriedly shouted, "Long Chen, save me quickly." Since it was seen by him, it had no choice but to make a move. Long Chen rushed over. At this moment, the bird of bright light had transformed into a human form. Long Chen blocked in front of it and grabbed it with one hand while punching out with the other. This dragon before him was smaller than the ones he had encountered before. It was slightly easier to deal with. With a single punch, Long Chen was sent flying. Of course, this was intentional. He took advantage of the momentum to retreat and escape with the bird of bright light. In terms of speed, the black divine dragon couldn't catch up to him. In the blink of an eye, Long Chen had shaken it off. Seeing that everything behind him had calmed down, Long Chen finally let go of the bird of bright light. The human form of the bird of bright light was that of a red-haired young man. Both of his eyes were double pupils and looked extremely strange. At this moment, he was covered in blood and looked extremely miserable. Long Chen had ignited the fire of life, allowing him to recover slightly. The bird of bright light looked at Long Chen in shock and said, "I've only heard of your reputation in the past. I didn't expect you to be so powerful. You've really broadened my horizons. Thank you for saving my life." Long Chen waved his hand and said, "It's just a small matter, not worth mentioning." The bird of bright light smiled helplessly and said, "To you, it's a small matter, but to me, it's a matter of life and death. I've already seen a divine beast in the great perfection stage of the Tai Chi divine realm being torn apart by the black dragon, almost losing his life. Although he managed to escape, his vitality was greatly damaged. I fought against the divine dragon for the sake of saving him. He looked for a helper for me, but I don't know where he is now." "Long Chen, you've grown up here, do you know what kind of place this is exactly? To think that there's actually a true dragon from the ancient times, and it doesn't even have a consciousness. This entire secret realm is filled with endless mysteries." They had indeed underestimated this world after millions of years. With regards to the bird of bright light's reply, Long Chen could only shake his head. These were all things he wanted to know. For the time being, as long as we don't get close to these stars, we should be fine. Let's go and look for other people. The more people there are, the more we'll know. Long Chen said. "All right, I'll follow you. There's no other way, I've already been scared out of my wits by this divine dragon. Even the law energy couldn't kill me, and I wasn't injured at all. This is too terrifying." The bird of bright light said with lingering fear. "All right." Of course, Long Chen didn't mind having someone following him. With one more person, it would be easier to discuss. After finding a direction, the two of them started moving forward. They were very careful not to touch the stars. Long Chen also didn't want the bird of bright light to know that a true dragon wouldn't attack him. "I have to say, this starry sky is really huge. It's ancient and endless. What kind of secret is hidden here? It must be related to the divine dragon." The bird of bright light was full of questions along the way. Long Chen stopped him gently. After listening carefully, he could vaguely hear sounds coming from a certain direction. It seemed like there was also a fight. "We're going to save someone." The bird of bright light was shocked. "Let's take a look first." Although they didn't know who was fighting, if they were to encounter the deity king of hell, then their safety would be better guaranteed. They would also be able to know more about the secret of this ancient mystery land. The two of them followed the sound of the battle. The result was beyond their expectations. The battle this time was more than 10 times bigger than the one with the bird of bright light. The stars nearby were very densely packed, and they were all relatively huge. In other words, if they were to really fight, it was very likely that other divine dragons would be alerted. It would be dangerous to be surrounded by multiple divine dragons. That was probably what was happening in front of them. This was because within a short period of time, Long Chen had heard the roars of divine dragons more than once. From the sounds, there were at least 5 to 6 of them, maybe even more than 10. Every one of them was much stronger than the one that the bird of bright light was fighting with. "Long Chen, I think it's better if I don't go." The bird of bright light was shocked and didn't dare to go forward. Long Chen didn't want to force him. He said, "Wait for me here. I'll go ahead and take a look." Long Chen really didn't need his help. Once the battle started, it was very likely that he would have to save him. Long Chen didn't force him, and the bird of bright light was very grateful. After they separated, Long Chen sped up and moved forward. He could vaguely hear a few shouts. When he got closer, he could more or less confirm who was being surrounded by about 10 divine dragons. Chapter 26-29. That's right, it was the daughter of the ancient god emperor, Biyao. After encountering the bright bird, he hadn't expected to meet her again. To be honest, she was the person that Long Chen didn't want to see the most. Her temper was a huge problem for anyone. Moreover, only she would run into such a densely packed place like this. Long Chen advanced carefully. He wasn't in a hurry. This Biyao had some tricks up her sleeve. She had only been frightened by him the last time. After passing through many stars, he finally saw the grand scene of the battle. In a place where the stars were the densest, Biyao was fighting with more than 10 black dragons. As the battle progressed, more and more black dragons awoke from their black jade dragon head state and joined the battle. Based on the battle between the bright bird and the black dragons, Long Chen could see that black dragons were immortal. Even if their entire bodies were smashed to pieces, they could reform. Unless the black dragon's opponent had the Death Realm Dragon Gates method like Long Chen's, or captured the entire black dragon into the Death Realm, they would be completely annihilated. Of course, Long Chen would never do that, nor would he allow others to do so. When he got closer, Biyao, who was in the middle of a miserable battle, naturally noticed him. At this time, she was holding the creation-grade destinable divine weapon, the 9-star Emperor Sword. 9 blazing suns revolved around the sword, and its might was immense. "Don't come near me. I don't need your help, scram." Biyao didn't stand on ceremony and directly chased him away. It seemed that she still hated him because of what had happened before. She probably didn't want Long Chen to see her in such a sorry state. Long Chen couldn't be bothered to save her. Although there were so many dragons attacking, as the daughter of the ancient god emperor, she should be able to break free. Thus, Long Chen turned and left. Seeing that Long Chen had really left, Biyao was so angry that her face turned red. The most tyrannical aspect of the black dragons was their terrifying and undying fleshly bodies. However, this was not their only method of attack. They could spit out a mysterious black aura that could corrode one's body. Even a grand mist immortal spirit would find it hard to resist this corrosion. This corrosion was a kind of law. Therefore, to Biyao, the black dragons were very difficult to deal with. She was in a very dangerous situation. Stunning rainbow. In her anger, she seemed to have gone mad. She brandished the 9-star Emperor sword and unleashed an earth-shattering attack. Long Chen turned his head in shock and saw that terrifying sword. This sword contained an awe-inspiring sword Dao. It was like a sword that could split the heavens and earth. As the sword stabbed out, almost all the black dragons in the surroundings instantly turned into black powder. She shouldn't have been able to comprehend such a sword art. She must have been taught by her father. This sword was majestic, domineering, and overbearing. It was clearly a divine might that could only be possessed by an emperor of 10,000 worlds. Now that the mystical dragons had disappeared, her crisis should have been resolved. Long Chen was just about to distance himself from her when the mystical dragons that had been torn apart instantly reformed, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws at him. One of the mystical dragons spat out a black aura directly onto Biyao's body, causing one of her arms to instantly wither and age and become unsightly. Biyao instantly burst into tears. Under the protection of the god emperor, she had never suffered such a serious injury since she was young. Perhaps the gods of 10,000 worlds feared her father's identity and didn't dare to hurt her, but the black dragons here didn't care who she was. Even Long Chen felt his scalp go numb when he saw that withered arm. Forbidden Space Dance. When the other mystical dragons charged at her again, Biyao, who was still in intense pain, was still able to react. She started dancing in the ancient starry sky. Although she was missing an arm, her long skirt and golden hair fluttered in the wind. Her dance was graceful and full of beauty. However, this wasn't just a dance. Every movement she made was connected to the surrounding space. Just like its name suggested, the Forbidden Space Dance caused the spatial nomological laws to unfold. Waves of dance locked down the space. It was similar to space freezing, causing the mystical dragons that were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws to be frozen. This was the only way Biyao could think of to deal with them. After succeeding, she immediately fled in the opposite direction of Long Chen. She didn't want to see Long Chen, especially when her arm was still in such a terrible state. She naturally didn't want to lose face in front of him. Damn it. Long Chen was secretly shocked. He saw the eyes of the mystical dragons. Each of them had the strength of a god lord. Biyao's forbidden space dance was not enough to restrain all of them. Indeed, just as Biyao succeeded and was about to escape, the forbidden space dance was torn apart, and the spatial energy was shattered. The mystical dragons were also enraged. Their bodies underwent a huge transformation. From their huge and boundless bodies, they instantly became only 2 meters long. They were like steel whips, and their speed increased greatly. More than 10 mystical dragons charged at Biyao like lightning. Biyao never expected that these dragons could even tear apart the forbidden space dance. She lacked combat experience, and at such a critical moment, she was startled. She swung her 9-star Emperor sword randomly, but she didn't even touch a single mystical dragon. Instead, more than 10 mystical dragons transformed into steel whips, and all of them entangled her body. Her arms, head, legs, neck, and torso were all entangled by more than 10 mystical dragons. She was already tied up tightly. Just that terrifying power was enough to deform her divine body in a short period of time. Her divine body shattered. Furthermore, a majestic black aura instantly appeared on every mystical dragon's body. That black aura instantly drowned her body. This defeat was a crushing defeat. With so many mystical dragons entangling her, the 9-star Emperor sword left her hand. She couldn't even move a single inch, much less resist. With so much black aura, her divine body was rapidly aging. In a few breaths of time, she would be reduced to ashes. This was a terrifying thing that Biyao had never experienced before. She was the daughter of a divine emperor, incomparably pampered. No one dared to disobey her, no one dared to touch her. She had never experienced the crisis of death before, and she had never experienced such pain. This pain was something that even Long Chen was afraid of. No one could watch as they were engulfed by that black aura. One could imagine how much pain Biyao was in right now. If she had asked for Long Chen's help earlier, this wouldn't have happened. Of course, Long Chen hadn't left yet. The current result also shocked him greatly. Looking carefully, within the black aura, Biyao was already scared silly. She was crying and screaming, and the degree of her misery was unbelievable. At this moment, her entire body was trembling. It wouldn't be long before she died from the extreme pain, and her beauty would be reduced to bones. Chen, save her. Lingxi couldn't stand it anymore. Although this girl was a little arrogant and despotic, she wasn't a bad person. Long Chen shouldn't be so calculative with her. All right. Seeing her crying and scared out of her wits, Long Chen couldn't bear to watch. He quickly transformed into a mystical dragon and rushed over. Because of his body, the black dragons didn't attack him. When he arrived, he began to chase them away. The black dragons were somewhat unwilling, and didn't want to hurt Long Chen. Hence, under Long Chen's insistence, the black dragons that bound Biyao left one by one. In the end, when Long Chen saved Biyao, she was no longer in human form. Long Chen grabbed her from the dragon's claws and quickly moved away from the battlefield. Now that he had calmed down, he hurriedly transformed into a Tai Chi life-form dragon and infused the flame of life into this woman. At this time, only the flame of life could save her. In the green flame of life, Biyao's mind was clear. Luckily, Long Chen had acted quickly. Only the surface of her divine body had been corroded. Although it was painful, it wasn't a serious injury. Under the nourishment of the flame of life, the damaged parts of her divine body were recovering bit by bit. However, Biyao was still in the shadow, and had not recovered. Perhaps to her, this was the most terrifying experience of her life. She was scared stiff. At this time, her divine body regained its senses. She stared blankly at the mystical dragon form. Long Chen transformed into his human form and released her gently. Seeing that she was so scared, he said, "Don't worry, you're fine now." On Biyao's body, the flame of life was still burning. Her ugly face had almost completely recovered, and she probably wouldn't feel as much pain as before. However, the fear in her heart wasn't something that could be cured by the flame of life. She was still trembling in fear, and her face was pale. At this moment, she suddenly rushed into Long Chen's embrace and hugged him tightly, tears of fear flowing uncontrollably out of her eyes. I. To her, this was a terrifying experience she had never experienced in her life. The blow she had received had almost crushed her soul. Long Chen wanted to push her away, but the girl was trembling in fear. It was hard to imagine what kind of nightmare she was going through. Long Chen let her be. When she woke up and got over this nightmare, she wouldn't need him anymore. To show Lingxi that he didn't have any improper thoughts, he opened his arms, not touching Biyao. At least you know what's good for you, Lingxi said sourly. Long Chen smiled awkwardly. He didn't expect to hear Biyao say in a trembling voice, "Hug me, I'm scared. I'm scared." As she spoke, tears streamed down her cheeks again, wetting Long Chen's shoulder. Although he had saved a beauty, she was now a problem. Long Chen didn't have any feelings for this girl. Before, he thought she was arrogant and unapproachable, but now he felt that she was just a little girl. All right, it's all over. It's just a small thing. I've experienced many life and death crises like this in my life, but I still survived. At that time, there was no one to hug me and cry. It's not a big deal. Long Chen whispered in her ear. Really? After a long time, the wounds on her body were basically healed. Suddenly, she shivered a little. She had almost recovered. She pushed Long Chen away, looking at Long Chen with hatred, gritting her teeth. What's wrong? Long Chen didn't understand. She was just hugging him, and he didn't touch her. Biyao closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. Finally, she recovered a little. Although she was a little embarrassed, she still said, "Thank you for saving my life. When my father comes back, I will definitely tell him and ask him to reward you." To be able to say such arrogant words, it seemed that she had indeed recovered from her fear. Long Chen waved his hand and said, "Forget it. Just don't target me in the future. I'm just a commoner, and I don't dare to offend the first princess. As long as we can live in peace in the future, I will be satisfied." Biyao tidied herself up, and her face went from pale to rosy. She turned around and looked at the battlefield. This was probably the place that had left the deepest impression on her. She didn't argue with Long Chen, and instead said, "Don't worry, I won't cause trouble for you in the future. As repayment, if anyone bullies you, you can look for me. I'll help you settle it. I don't want to owe you a favor, but I only have one chance." "You are quite reasonable." Long Chen sighed. "I'm not as disgusting as you think." Biyao was a little angry. She had thought that he was not bad before, but now that he said it, it was so annoying. As the daughter of the Divine Emperor, there were not many people who dared to speak to her in such a tone, and they were all elders like her father. The two of them fell silent, and Biyao asked, "Strange, why didn't the Divine Dragon attack you?" "Maybe it's because I inherited the blood essence," Long Chen said. Biyao nodded and said, "Do you know where this place is?" Long Chen shook his head and said, "Since fate has brought us together, let's go together. The more people, the better. Let's go find the deity king of hell and the others. It will be safer around them. I think it's better to find a way to leave this world as soon as possible." This was a place related to the divine dragon. Long Chen didn't want everyone to stay here for too long. "Okay." Biyao agreed with his decision. Long Chen patted his head and said, "Oh right, I came here with the divine beast of the demon race, the bright bird. He is waiting for me in the distance. Let's go find him first." Biyao laughed coldly and said, "Are you afraid of death and don't dare to go forward? Most of the divine beasts of the demon race are like that." It was true that the bright bird was afraid and didn't dare to go forward, so Long Chen had nothing to say. He led the way to where the bright bird was, but when he arrived, he found that the bright bird was no longer there. "Long Chen, look over there." Biyao's voice was a little hoarse, as if she was frightened. Long Chen followed her gaze and saw a giant corpse of a divine beast. That was the bright bird. Chapter 26:30. At this moment, what entered Long Chen's vision was a huge divine bird. Previously, Long Chen had seen the bird's true form, so of course, he could tell at a glance that it was him. However, he could confirm that this was a corpse, because it had lost all signs of life and was dead. After becoming a god, it was very difficult for one to die. Even if they were gravely injured, as long as there was a trace of them left, they could always be reborn. For example, the primeval troll had been sealed for millions of years and still hadn't died. There was only one possibility for such an undetectable death with no signs of life, just like how the god king of hell had killed the god general. Long Chen went to the bird's side and examined it. His expression changed, and he said, he was killed by a very powerful existence. At the very least, he didn't have the slightest ability to fight back in front of his opponent. He died instantly. What? Biyao's golden eyes widened as she looked at the bird's corpse in disbelief. Long Chen didn't say anything else. Although the bird's corpse was huge, his divine kingdom could still support it. Therefore, Long Chen put the corpse into his divine kingdom. "What are you doing?" Biyao asked. Long Chen said, "I'm bringing his corpse back to the demons. Also, the killer might be nearby. We have to leave as soon as possible. We can't possibly be his opponent." Long Chen didn't want to lose his life here, so he didn't say anything else and directly left. As for Biyao, after she thought it through, she would definitely catch up. Sure enough, not long after, she caught up to him. She looked around anxiously and obediently stuck to Long Chen. She was very worried and nervous. Just now, she already understood that no matter who she was, there was still a possibility that she would die here. Therefore, she now knew that she had to save her life. "Long Chen, tell me who killed the bright bird." Only the two God Kings could kill it like that. There's no need for the God King of Hell and the God King of Starry Sky to do this. It can't be them. Long Chen frowned and said, "If that's the case, in this ancient mystery realm, other than the black dragons on the stars, there might be an enemy at the level of a divine king. He killed the bright bird without anyone noticing. It's even possible that he's hunting and wants to kill all the divine spirits that have entered this place." Ah. Biyao shuddered. She had never thought that the situation would actually be this serious. To be honest, the gods didn't care about the current dragon sacrificial continent at all. This dilapidated world wouldn't have any danger at all. Therefore, Di Jun was at ease and let Biyao return first. The two divine kings also didn't attach much importance to this ancient mystic realm. Otherwise, they wouldn't have let so many gods in. To them, this was originally a leisurely exploration, but now, a god had fallen, and there was more than one. What exactly is this damn broken place? These dogs hit dragons, they must be the ones who harmed us. I already said that I don't want to come to this world, but my father still asked me to come here and stay. Speaking up to this point, Biyao saw that Long Chen was staring at her, so she snorted and didn't say anything else. Biyao wasn't born in this world, so it's normal that she doesn't have any feelings for this place. Although what she said was a little strange, it seemed like it could be explained in this way. The two of them tried their best to head in the direction where there were fewer stars. "We have to find the two God Kings first, only then will we be safe," Long Chen said. "Alright, you lead the way." After experiencing a life and death situation, and knowing that there was a terrifying killer in this ancient mystic realm, Biyao had long been scared out of her wits. Now, she didn't dare to leave Long Chen's side in the slightest. Although she still saw Long Chen as a native in her bones, it was not quite the same. Long Chen carefully traveled in this ancient galaxy. In reality, he wasn't as worried as Biyao, because he was a dragon warrior, and those dragons wouldn't harm him. He knew that this ancient mystic realm was definitely related to the dragons, and that mysterious killer might also be related to the dragons. If he really existed, he might not touch him. This was a huge advantage for him compared to the gods. Long Chen thought of something and said, "Stardust came in first." At first, he said that he was fine, but then he suddenly cried out in pain. It's very likely that after he came in, he encountered that God King level killer and was killed directly. After that, we all came in one after another, but we were disturbed to different places. If it was the Black Dragon's attack, the only possibility was that Stardust had landed on the stars from the beginning. Otherwise, the Black Dragon wouldn't have attacked him for no reason. Thinking of Stardust, Biyao snorted coldly and said, "Don't mention this guy. A toad lusting for swan meat, and he even dared to have ideas about me. If it wasn't for the Starry Sky God King, would have torn his mouth apart. Such a guy with such a bad reputation, does he think that I, Biyao, don't know what kind of person he is?" Long Chen pursed his lips and couldn't help but want to laugh. So this was what Biyao was thinking. It seemed that the brother named Stardust had no chance. This showed that this thing, reputation, really needed to be managed. There's someone in front. Just thinking of this, Long Chen became vigilant. However, they soon discovered that it was the aura of a divine beast, not an enemy. They heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. Now that they had one more partner, it was one more guarantee. Everyone gradually joined forces, and they would eventually be able to find more people and gather all the people who came in. Go over. Chapter 2631. However, as long as it doesn't land on a star, it won't be a threat. Princess, for us to meet in this starry sky is also a type of fate. Next, let's explore this ancient secret realm together and see if there are any interesting things. It was rare for them to meet, so Stardust naturally didn't want to let go of such an opportunity. Now, he regretted associating with those three divine beasts. If he hadn't met them, he would have been alone with Biyao. He had forgotten about Long Chen. Comparing Xing Chen to Long Chen, Biyao hated this guy even more. Not only did he not come to save her when she was on the brink of death, he even preached about fate here. If one were to talk about fate, it was not his turn. Moreover, in such a dangerous place, he actually said that he was going to roam around. Biyao's expression turned cold. Long Chen, tell him what happened. She couldn't be bothered to speak with Stardust. At this time, Stardust finally noticed Long Chen's existence. He had heard of this person's story before. He was quite powerful and was said to be very lucky. Before the return of the gods, he was the #1 expert in the dragon sacrifice continent. However, this person was actually familiar with Biyao, which made Stardust feel enmity. He had pursued Biyao for tens of thousands of years without any progress, so he was anxious. He stared at Long Chen and said, "What happened? Speak clearly." His tone seemed to be somewhat impatient. In Long Chen's eyes, Stardust's image was greatly lowered. He wasn't someone who could be negotiated with, so he told him about the death of the four-eyed bird. "You actually saved Biyao." After listening, Stardust's face was full of suspicion. Long Chen was startled. He was talking about the four-eyed bird's quick and silent death, but he didn't expect that he was actually concerned about him saving Biyao. In the eyes of this starry sky flood dragon, it was very clear who was more important. Long Chen didn't answer him, but solemnly said, "This person who killed the four-eyed bird definitely exists, and his strength is definitely very strong. He is not someone we can deal with. He is in that direction. Now that we have already wasted a lot of time, we need to quickly leave this place." Stardust looked at Long Chen a few more times. Obviously, this starry sky flood dragon didn't like him. Long Chen couldn't be bothered with him, so he said to Biyao, "It's time to go." Biyao nodded. At this critical moment, she still felt that Long Chen was more reliable. After experiencing the fear of death, she started to fear death. The two of them left immediately. Stardust's face darkened, and he hurriedly followed them. He walked side by side with Biyao, and said to the three divine beasts behind him, "Since there is a mysterious assassin over there, we will form a team of 6 and quickly find the other divine beasts." The three divine beasts naturally followed. Not to mention that Stardust had a divine king as a brother, his strength was also stronger than them, so they would naturally listen to him. Stardust realized that Biyao actually listened to Long Chen's orders, and that was why he started to overestimate Long Chen. Not to mention other things, at least in this small team, he would definitely obtain the position of leader. Thus, he walked in front of them and said, "Follow me, this direction should be correct. You are now walking in the direction we came from." Long Chen was walking in another direction. He looked back and said, "You can't go there. This ancient starry sky is winding and twisting. If you go there, you will end up in the direction that Princess and I came from. That enemy is nearby." Stardust's face instantly darkened. He originally wanted to obtain the position of leader, but he didn't expect that such a mistake would occur. But at this moment, Stardust's eyes were suddenly covered by a layer of gray fog. This fog was actually very similar to the fog exhaled by the Black Divine Dragon. In an instant, Stardust's aura underwent a huge change. It was as though he had transformed into a death god. That malicious energy invaded his entire body. Careful. He used all his strength to break free from Biyao's restraints. Biyao also saw this change. She was proficient in the laws of space, and with a single teleportation, she brought Long Chen away from Stardust. Just as they left, Stardust attacked her. If she didn't notice it in time, she might have been injured by him. Biyao didn't expect that Stardust would actually attack her. She was the daughter of a god emperor. Not only did he attack, but he was also filled with killing intent. He simply ate a leopard's guts. "Stardust, are you crazy? You dare to attack me? Do you believe that even your elder brother won't be able to protect you?" Biyao was simply mad with anger. He was poisoned by something and has lost his mind. He should have been lying earlier. When he first came in, he must have encountered that mysterious assassin. However, that mysterious assassin didn't kill him and left something on him. Now, it's showing. Long Chen observed carefully and made a rough guess. Is that so? Biyao understood that it was because she had infuriated him that such a change had occurred. However, she obviously wouldn't feel any guilt. She said, "I don't care so much. He was the one who made a move against me first. If I kill him, you have to be my witness." After speaking, when Stardust attacked, she took the initiative to attack. She didn't need to make a move herself. Their relationship was naturally very good. Long Chen smiled faintly, "Witness? Of course there's no problem." Chapter 2632. The two Sir Gods in the Absolute Realm were the proud sons of heaven in the infinite world. They had abundant resources and they were stronger than ordinary Sir Gods in the Absolute Realm. In terms of a real battle, Long Chen, who had yet to become a god, was definitely inferior to them. The last time, Long Chen had only used the two swords to scare Biyao. After that, his energy consumption was even greater than Biyao's. If Biyao hadn't been scared back then, Long Chen would have been beaten up by her. Of course, this was the ancient mystery land. It was different. There were stars with black dragons around. They didn't attack Long Chen but they attacked others. If they really fought and Long Chen had to take action, Long Chen would be in an invincible position. Since it had nothing to do with him, he was happy to watch Biyao and Xing Chen fight. He did not know how Xing Chen was affected by the ancient mystery realm, but at this moment, his mind had already been muddled by anger and hatred, causing him to directly transform into a starry sky dragon and fight with Biyao in the most savage and brutal way. This was definitely a real battle of life and death. At this moment, what appeared in front of Long Chen was a gigantic starry sky beast. It was even larger than the black dragon. It was a deep blue flood dragon that extended for countless miles. Its body was covered with shining crystalline dragon scales. From afar, this starry sky flood dragon looked like a galaxy formed by countless stars. It was incomparably beautiful and beautiful. In front of it, Biyao looked extremely small. The starry sky dragon had 4 huge and thick limbs and a long and sharp dragon tail. Although it had the bloodline of a divine dragon, it looked more like a lizard. There was a horn on its head that burst out with light that engulfed the ancient starry sky. Its eyes were shining like the sun and the moon. However, Biyao wasn't afraid of it at all. Xing Chen, I will say it again. If you dare to attack me, after we leave the ancient mystery land, even your brother can't protect you. Once I am injured, your brother will definitely be implicated. You can't leave this place. Xing Chen laughed sinisterly. The huge fey body actually attacked. The might of a divine beast was naturally extraordinary. Long Chen couldn't help and was watching leisurely. He didn't expect Xing Chen to suddenly say, "The three of you, help me kill this brat. We're already riding a tiger and it's hard to get off. Now you can't escape responsibility. It's better to kill them all. If they die here, who knows how they died." The three divine beasts were stunned and looked at Long Chen sinisterly. Under Xing Chen's instructions, Imperial Destruction Beast, Zhu Yan, and the myriad-eyed lunar beast surrounded Long Chen. They were divine lords of the primordial divine lords. Once they surrounded Long Chen, it would be difficult to deal with them. They were almost at Long Chen limit. Long Chen said, "Haven't you all noticed that Xing Chen has already been affected by this ancient mystery dimension? He has already lost his consciousness. What you all should be doing should be stopping him. Perhaps there's still time now." The three divine beasts looked at each other. The myriad-eyed lunar beast laughed. "No, we have to listen to Xing Chen. If he finishes off Biyao without us doing anything, he will vent his anger on us. Besides, we really don't like you. The woman that young Master Xing Chen has been chasing for tens of thousands of years has been snatched away by a bumpkin like you." Long Chen said helplessly, "Clearly, she is lying. All of you believe her." The divine beast Zhu Yan said, "I'd rather believe her than not." At this moment, Xing Chen and Biyao's battle expanded once again. After switching opponents, Long Chen discovered that Biyao was still relatively powerful. "I heard that your mouth is very powerful." Before Long Chen's voice arrived, his sword had already arrived. He was still using the secret of the god-slaying sword, fast, ruthless, and accurate. The plain sword and the spiritual sword flew side by side, and the black and white sword chi burst out. The Nirvana Emperor beast was shocked. Countless bristles on its body stood up and blocked in front of its head. He was confident in the strength of his body, but he didn't know that no matter if it was the god-slaying sword chi or the soul-shattering sword chi, they were not something that his body could withstand. One specifically targeted the physical body, and the other transcended the physical body. Shwa shwa. Under the swift and violent attacks, before the Imperial Beast Nirvana could do anything, his needle-like hair was ripped apart by the Godslayer sword chi. The soul-shattering sword chi charged into his body and attacked his soul. Pa! There was a loud sound. Before the Imperial Beast Nirvana could let out a scream, his mouth and nose were torn apart by the Godslayer sword chi. The soul-shattering sword chi was even more effective. The dual attacks instantly caused him to experience unparalleled pain. In fact, the Imperial Beast Nirvana was very timid and afraid of death. He was a fellow that bullied the weak and feared the strong. When Long Chen first attacked him, he was in extreme pain. Even though he wasn't seriously injured, he still turned and ran, leaving Zhu Yan and the 10,000-eyed lunar beast where they were. A single move had forced a primordial divine lord to retreat. Long Chen was becoming more and more powerful. However, the battle had only just begun. First, the violent white ape was already smashing towards Long Chen with the towering pillar. Long Chen rapidly retreated, and at the same time, he had to be wary of the 10,000-eyed lunar beast. Clearly, the other party was preparing a strange killing move. I should deal with this Zhu Yan first. The white ape was different from the black boar. Wild beasts were timid, but this ape was enraged and violent. It probably couldn't be scared off unless it was seriously injured. When the other party attacked, Long Chen didn't retreat. Instead, he charged forward. He was prepared to expend a lot of his energy, and that was the divine Tao Heart Refining Dragon's Karma Imperial Sword. Of course, one sword was the cause, while the other was the effect. The combination of the two swords was a divine power he had used against Era Skyfiend back then. It had broken one of the Era Skyfiend's temporal laws. In terms of damage, it was Long Chen's strongest strike to date. Especially when he used the Godslayer Sword Chi and the Soul-Shattering Sword Chi together, his divine power was equivalent to changing the nature of the two sword Chi, making them even more terrifying. The two swords faced the Zhu Yan's towering pillar. It was an intense collision. Long Chen used the Godslayer Sword Chi of the Karma Imperial Sword to shake off the towering pillar. Although he had expended a lot of energy, he had successfully pierced the soul-shattering sword Chi into the other party's body. It was obvious that the injuries suffered by the Zhu Yan's soul were more severe than the Great Destruction Imperial Beast. This was a well-known divine beast from the myriad worlds, but it was instantly injured by Long Chen. This kind of pain was much more terrifying than the physical pain. The combination of the two swords was indeed terrifying. Of course, the consumption was also relatively large. After using this sword, Long Chen was actually almost completely drained. Of course, there was still the 10,000-eyed lunar beast. As the Zhu Yan was screaming in pain and charging around, Long Chen looked at the 10,000-eyed lunar beast leisurely and smiled. It's your turn. Do you choose the physical pain or the spiritual pain? The 10,000-eyed lunar beast's eyes were filled with intense shock. In just 2 moments, it had not expected that Long Chen had already dealt with its two companions. On the surface, it was impossible for Long Chen to have such strength. From disdain to awe and fear. The 10,000-eyed lunar beast did not want to be at a disadvantage. It realized how terrifying Long Chen was. Even without a battle, it was already scared shitless. It hurriedly turned and fled with the Zhu Yan. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from everyone's sight, leaving behind Xingchen and Biyao who were still fighting. The feeling of lacking strength is really unbearable. Long Chen kept his two swords. He could not help but sigh. In reality, he could be even stronger. It was just that he lacked strength. If only he had the willpower of the masses back in the Spirit Essence Star Ocean. Now, there is only one path, and that is to become a god. Only after becoming a god can I find the boundless divine technique to cultivate. With the help of both, my strength will definitely increase. It will not be as embarrassing as it was today. Although he had scared the three away, he was actually unable to continue fighting. Using two swords at the same time was a huge drain on him. However, Biyao was indeed terrifying when she went berserk. Xingchen had been suppressed for a long time, and his body was covered in wounds from her slashes. When he saw the three divine beasts flee from Long Chen, the galactic flood dragon roared angrily and finally chose to flee. Don't go. Biyao chased after him. After a few steps, she realized that Long Chen was still in his original spot. She stopped and put away the 9-star arch sword. After tidying herself up, she came in front of Long Chen and said, "You are quite powerful. You even managed to scare away 3 primordial divine lords. I was also frightened by you the last time. Now, I understand that you only know how to scare people." Long Chen smiled faintly and said, "How do I deal with this Xingchen?" Biyao gritted her teeth and said, "When I meet the Hell Godly Monarch, I will tell him everything that happened here. How he deals with it will depend on my father's decision." She had fought with the galactic flood dragon for no reason, so she was naturally angry. Chapter 2633. The dignified daughter of the Divine Emperor had actually been attacked by a divine beast of the starry sky dragon. Although it was because of the ancient mystery land, Biyao's heart was still about to explode. Previously, it was Long Chen who had attacked her. Now, it was this stardust. Could it be that her identity as the daughter of the Divine Emperor was so worthless? She was so angry that her chest heaved up and down, and her expression was dark. Long Chen naturally did not understand the changes in her heart. In any case, in his heart, Biyao was a very difficult character to deal with. She was too delicate, and cared too much about her identity. It was difficult to be friends with her. In this ancient mystery land, they walked together. Under normal circumstances, of course, Long Chen would not choose to interact with her. It was too dangerous. Also, what I said to you before in front of Stardust was all nonsense. Don't even think about it. If even Stardust can't do it, then it's even more impossible for you, Biyao said to him solemnly. Her words were full of arrogance. Long Chen smacked his lips and said, "Don't worry, I'm a man with a family. I have a wife and a daughter." Biyao's face immediately turned cold. She felt as if she had been counterattacked by Long Chen's words. She said it was impossible for him, but he did not care at all. This made her a little embarrassed. As the daughter of the Divine Emperor, he did not even have the slightest bit of imagination. Let's go. We have to quickly find the God King of Hell, or else it will be even more dangerous. Long Chen originally wanted to advance by himself, but now it was impossible. But at this time, something happened that made his hair stand on end. He and Biyao were standing opposite each other. When he was about to advance, he saw that behind Biyao, about 10 meters away, there was actually a person standing. How he got close, Long Chen had no idea. Most importantly, even if he was standing there, as long as Long Chen closed his eyes, he would not be able to feel his existence at all. Clearly, this person was a god, and of an extraordinary level. He was not the dragon sacrificial deity or a divine beast, but an existence of this ancient mystery land itself. This person wore a long black robe, and his head was covered by a large hood. It was difficult to see his appearance clearly, and only a mass of black chi could be seen under the brim of the hood. However, this was indeed a person. A silent person had appeared here. Clearly, he belonged to this ancient mystery. Clearly, he was the expert that Long Chen had guessed might be a god king. As soon as he thought up to there, Long Chen broke out in a cold sweat. He did not move at all. He truly felt fear. If the deities hadn't returned, he might have been the strongest person in the dragon sacrificial continent. It was just that he didn't leave this ancient mystic realm. What kind of existence was this? Biyao didn't even know that there was such a person behind her. Seeing the strange expression on Long Chen's face, she said, "What's wrong with you? Hurry up and leave. I said before that I owe you 2 favors, and I'll return them to you." I've always been a man of my word. She still hadn't realized that death was approaching. Long Chen widened his eyes and looked at the mysterious black-robed person. His heart raced. In fact, he had already made full preparations. At this moment, Biyao suddenly disappeared. Long Chen focused his eyes and realized that she had already appeared in front of that mysterious person. That mysterious person stretched out his skinny hand and grabbed Biyao's neck. His other hand took out a black dagger that was only a foot long and pressed it against Biyao's body. A dignified perfected divine lord couldn't move at all after falling into the opponent's hands. Biyao could be said to have fallen into hell in an instant. This sudden change was too frightening for her. She wanted to resist, but the other party had surrounded her with a black aura, and she was unable to use her vast divine power easily. Her entire person became as weak as a chicken, and her entire body was sore. The black dagger released the danger of death. Clearly, the current her was even more dangerous than when she was surrounded by the black dragon. Once the opponent attacked, the only possibility was death. Stardust might have been changed by this person, and the bright bird must have been silently killed by this person. Even Biyao couldn't sense the existence of this person at all, so how could the bright bird? Wah! Biyao couldn't help but cry in fear. Her whole body trembled. This time, the danger of death was much more terrifying than the last time. Under her father's protection, she had never been injured before. But now, she had almost died twice in a row. The fear brought by this mysterious person directly caused her to have a mental breakdown. "Save me, Long Chen, save me." Her eyes were filled with tears. She placed all her hopes on Long Chen. Previously, she had been arrogant and despotic, but now she was indeed quite pitiful. Although she had a bad temper, it wasn't to the point where she deserved to die. Looking at Biyao, Long Chen thought that in the future, he definitely couldn't let his daughter be pampered and spoiled. Otherwise, she would become the Biyao of today. If it was about saving her, Long Chen could only brace himself. Since this mysterious person didn't kill them immediately, there should be a chance for negotiation. At this time, the mysterious person spoke first. His voice was very old and hoarse, as though he hadn't spoken for countless years. He said, "If you dare to barge into the curse world, no matter who you are, you must pay the price with your life. She isn't the first, and she won't be the last." Curse world. Long Chen's mind spun quickly. The current situation was extremely tense, and there was no room for any mistakes. If Biyao died here, it would be very troublesome. He spoke to me because he knows that I'm a dragon warrior. If that's the case, he might kill everyone but me. This place is called the Curse World, and he doesn't want anyone to barge in. The reason he killed me might be because of some kind of agreement, Long Chen hurriedly said. "Senior, we barged in unintentionally, and we don't have any evil intentions. Right now, we just don't have a way to leave. Can you let her go? Her identity is special, she's the daughter of a god from the god realm of absolute beginning. If we kill her, he might know, and then more people will barge in. I hope that Senior can think this through. We just barged in by accident, and we don't have any evil intentions." The mysterious person in black pondered for a moment, then said, "Barging into the curse world can only mean death. The god realm of absolute beginning is indeed difficult to deal with. For your sake, I'll spare her this time. However, all other gods who barge in here must die, no exceptions. For your sake." Sure enough, he valued me very much. At least I'm fine. Long Chen heaved a sigh of relief. However, just as he had guessed, this mysterious black-robed man might kill all the other gods. One must know that almost half of the gods on the dragon sacrificial continent had entered this place. If all of them died, then this matter would be huge. Long Chen hurriedly said, "Senior, why don't you be more amiable? We don't have any evil intentions, and besides, there are 2 god kings here. Even the god kings have to die." Speaking up to here, the mysterious person in black let go of Biyao and pushed her towards Long Chen, disappearing in the blink of an eye. "I'm the guardian of this curse world. Other than you, all gods and demons who enter here must die." These were his final words. Curse world, guardian, he had already started his massacre. Perhaps like Bright Bird, many had died in his hands. Fortunately, Mo Xiaolang didn't come. Moreover, he just said that even god kings had to die. That was terrifying. Clearly, he was as powerful as god kings. I really didn't expect that there would be a curse world next to the eternal god domain, and this curse world actually has such a powerful guardian. If this guardian was born during the chaos of the Devil Star back then, I wouldn't have to risk my life at all. Long Chen's heart was incomparably shocked. After escaping the danger of death once again, Biyao's face turned deathly pale. Her legs gave way, and her entire body fell towards the stardust below. Long Chen had no choice but to catch her. Indeed, this woman was scared out of her wits. She was crying and hugging Long Chen tightly. She didn't even care about the difference between men and women. At this moment, even if he was a pig, she would probably be able to hug it. Comfort her. She's just a stubborn little girl. She's scared to death now. Lingxi was a kind girl. Seeing how frightened Biyao was, her heart ached. Seeing that she was unwilling to let go, Long Chen comforted her. "It's all in the past, you won't die. You have a divine emperor as your father, and today is just an exception. As long as you can get out of here, everything will be fine. Besides, death is not a big deal, as long as you have 2 very precious experiences, right?" He wasn't good at this, so everything he said was very stiff. Clearly, Biyao didn't listen to him. She was still frightened to the point where she didn't even have the strength to cry. She still hugged Long Chen tightly, her body trembling uncontrollably, as though she was afraid that he would leave. "Then I'll go find the God King of Hell first." He let this woman carry him and hurried away. If it was before, he would naturally take advantage of such a beauty who needed to be comforted and protected. But now that he had a family, his mindset had changed. He knew what was the most important thing in life, especially when it came to a woman like Biyao. She was a poison, and he couldn't afford to provoke her. After a long time, she recovered a little. She could walk on her own, but she still lowered her head and didn't dare to leave Long Chen's side. She followed behind Long Chen in a daze. Long Chen saw that she was so pitiful. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. He said, "Are you feeling better now?" Biyao was startled, but she still didn't say anything. Her face was still very pale. At this time, from one direction, an incomparably strong light flashed, and the faint voice of the God King of Hell could be heard. "Gods, please meet up here." On one hand, this ancient starry sky was huge. On the other hand, because of the distortion of space, whether it was fighting or sound, it was very difficult to travel far. Clearly, the God King of Hell had to use all his strength to achieve this. He might even use up some precious things. For example, that light could be the result of a primal chaos treasure shattering. With his summons, it was much more convenient for everyone to gather. "Let's go there." Long Chen immediately found the direction. Chapter 26-34. This was the Cursed Realm. Clearly, the God King of Hell and the God King of Starry Sky didn't know about this mystical place and probably didn't know about the existence of the Cursed Realm Protector. Otherwise, he wouldn't have waited until now to gather the gods. Deity C, Origin Dragon Palace, Black Jade Dragon Head, Ancestral Dragon Cave, God Emperor Ling Su's inheritance, and this Cursed Realm. Although the current dragon sacrificial dragon continent looked simple, it was actually filled with all kinds of mysteries. Even after becoming a god, Long Chen still couldn't understand it. No wonder Long Qinglan still had so many things he wanted to pursue even though he was as strong as he was now. Long Chen and Biyao didn't dare to hesitate. They had just met a dangerous person like the Cursed Realm Protector who didn't even put the God King in his eyes. This news had to be reported to the God King of Hell as soon as possible. In fact, the God King of Hell wasn't far from him and Biyao. It was just that this ancient starry sky was too big, even bigger than the dragon sacrificial dragon continent. In such a big world, even if they were close, it would be difficult to meet the other party without guidance. The closer they were to the God King of Hell, the easier it was to meet others. Little God Emperor. At this time, Long Chen had already met a team with a few powerful god monarchs. They were indeed very worried about Biyao's safety. When they saw Biyao, they naturally heaved a sigh of relief. They all came over to protect Biyao and pushed Long Chen outside. Seeing that she was protected, Long Chen tactfully left. "Princess Biyao, why do you look so pale? Did you encounter danger? This damn place is really damned. It actually let something happen to Princess Biyao. We are guilty. When the God Emperor returns, how are we going to explain this to the God Emperor?" Everyone was in fear and trepidation. They guarded Biyao tightly, worried that something would happen to her again. Two female gods kept talking to Biyao, trying to comfort her. "Go away." Biyao was very annoyed. She walked past them and followed behind Long Chen again. She naturally knew that no one was useful here. Following behind Long Chen was the safest. "Long Chen, what happened to Princess Biyao?" Everyone gathered around Biyao. They didn't dare to talk to Biyao anymore, so they asked about Long Chen. Long Chen said, "We've encountered some trouble. It's indeed very dangerous. We'll talk about it after we meet the God King of Hell. I can only say that this place is very dangerous. Everyone must hurry up." Everyone was skeptical. In reality, they had indeed encountered danger at the beginning, but they had been fine as long as they didn't get close to the stars. They hadn't expected that something would happen to someone as strong as Biyao. "Alright, let's meet up with the godly King of Hell first." The deities carefully protected Biyao. The group of people headed towards the direction of the boundless radiance. Not long after, they met more deities and divine beasts. Finally, they saw the God King of Hell. He was together with the God King of Starry Sky. With the two of them together, it should be much safer. Although Longchen didn't have any malice towards the Cursed World Guardian and didn't hate him at all, he felt that he was very familiar with him. However, he knew that if he allowed him to kill all the gods, it would inevitably lead to a greater disaster. If the God Emperor were to return, it would be a disaster for the peaceful Curse realm. Little God Emperor. The God King of Hell hurried over. He was truly anxious. He was the one who allowed Biyao to follow them in. Before entering, he didn't expect such a thing to happen. He also didn't expect that there would be such a mysterious place in this broken world. If anything happened to Biyao, he would most likely be killed by the God Emperor. The degree to which the God Emperor doted on his daughter was something no one could imagine. Hence, seeing that Biyao was fine, it could be said that his life was spared. The deities quickly surrounded Biyao. Longchen took a look and saw that there were more than 70 people who had entered. Now, there were about 30 people gathered, and there were still many people rushing back. There was no time to lose, there were some things that had to be said. The God King of Hell and the God King of Starry Sky also noticed the changes in Biyao. She was still in a state of fear. Who came with Biyao? What happened? The God King of Hell was somewhat anxious. He didn't dare to ask the little princess directly. He looked at the others. The people around Longchen immediately turned their gazes to Longchen. The God King of Hell hooked his finger and said, "Longchen, speak clearly." Now that the number of deities returning was increasing, he directly said, "I'll start from the beginning. When I first entered, like everyone else, I also encountered those strange black dragons. However, it might be because I'm a dragon warrior, so they didn't attack me. I first encountered the demonic race's bright bird." The deities all quietened down and listened to him. He continued, "I saved the bright bird and traveled with it. Then, I encountered Princess Biyao. In a place filled with stars, she was surrounded by over 10 black dragons. The black dragons couldn't be killed, and Princess Biyao was frightened. Because the black dragons wouldn't attack me, I relied on this to save her." Ah! The deities and divine beasts all sucked in a breath of cold air. Biyao was here. Of course, Longchen wouldn't lie. This was too dangerous. If it wasn't for Longchen, if anything happened to Biyao, a lot of people would probably be in trouble. If the God King was furious, it would be terrifying. Where's the bright bird? The deities originally wanted the bright bird to confirm the truth of Longchen's words. Chapter 26:35. The godly king of hell didn't hide the scene outside from the other gods. Through Scandinavia, the other gods could see the current world outside. The two godly kings couldn't find the way out, so they patiently waited for the Curse Realm Protector to arrive. After a period of silence, a mysterious person shrouded in a black robe and had finally appeared in front of the two godly kings in this ancient starry sky. He was the Curse Realm Protector. He seemed to be fearless as he directly appeared in front of the two godly kings. It was even possible that he had appeared earlier and was just waiting for the other gods to gather. If he was confident in his own strength, he probably wanted to deal with all the other gods in one go. Hence, he told Longchen to stay where he was. Of course, Longchen didn't do as he was told. Seeing the Curse Realm Protector again, Longchen understood how terrifying this person was. Even the two godly kings frowned deeply when facing him. Clearly, they also realized that this Curse Realm Protector was very strong. Before coming to the dragon sacrificial continent, they never imagined that such a powerhouse would actually exist in an ancient mystic realm in this broken world. It just so happened that the powerhouses among the other gods hadn't returned yet. Seeing the Curse Realm Protector, the other gods in Scandinavia started to panic. At this moment, the Curse Realm Protector said in an ancient and hoarse voice, "Dear gods, this is the Curse Realm, an ancient land. According to the rules, anyone who intrudes must be killed. Therefore, don't blame me for being merciless. At this time, he spread his arms. The other gods actually saw his exposed palms start to be covered in gray dragon scales. To be more precise, one of his palms was covered in gray dragon scales, while the other had lost its flesh and exposed the bones of his hand. The bones of his hand were actually carved with exquisite and ancient dragon patterns. This pair of hands was indeed strange and ancient. In Long Chen's opinion, it was a huge shock. On this mysterious person's palms, he seemed to see the shadow of the ancestral dragon. In the eyes of the two godly kings, the most terrifying thing about this pair of hands was the power it possessed. The power of calamity and the rules of calamity. The two great divine kings exchanged a glance, roughly knowing what this mysterious person was adept at. Although he knew that there would be a battle, the Hell God King wanted to know more. He said, "You are the guardian of the cursed world, right? We came here by accident and have no ill intentions. If it is appropriate, please let us go. We know that this is your territory, so we naturally won't come here again. The two of us have no intention of fighting with your excellency. We apologize for accidentally entering this place, but I don't know if your excellency will agree." What answered him was the Curse Realm Guardian's attack. He only replied with 3 words, and that was, "Impossible." At this moment, Long Chen saw the terrifying power of the Curse Realm Protector that was similar to that of a divine dragon erupting forth and engulfing the entire ancient starry sky. Just as the godly king of hell had said, he specialized in the laws of calamities and calamities. Hence, under his control, all space was enveloped in calamities and calamities. The two godly kings were also being controlled layer by layer. This person is very strong. Everyone, prepare yourselves. The deity king of hell said solemnly. To the various deities, this was indeed a great calamity. They had returned with ease, but it had actually developed into such a situation. It was truly unexpected. When the godly king of hell made his move, the commotion was too great. No one could clearly see what was happening outside. The godly king of starry sky had also joined the battle. This is a battle between 3 godly kings. The various deities exchanged glances. Naturally, they were incomparably shocked. Everyone's faces were somewhat pale. As deities, it was very rare for them to encounter such a threat in tens of thousands of years. Furthermore, they had already lost a few deities. Those deities were people that most of the people here had known for many years. For the time being, Long Chen didn't know if the two godly kings could defeat the Curse Realm Protector. He couldn't interfere in a battle of this level, so he could only wait and see. In truth, he was in the least danger because the Curse Realm Protector wouldn't kill him. Long Chen, Biyao pondered for a moment, then decided to follow him. She was naturally smart, and she knew that following by Long Chen's side might be the safest. As such, this naturally attracted the attention of the other deities, especially Xing Chen. Although Long Chen had already explained everything to him, he had, after all, put in so much effort for Biyao. Seeing her following Long Chen still made him feel very indignant. Long Chen couldn't be bothered to care about these things at this time. He was focused on sensing the battle outside. He had never seen a battle of this level before. These 3 were all experts equivalent to the War Demon and Nameless Demon at their peak. In fact, the Curse Realm Protector was even stronger, reaching the level of Sakya Emperor Hell Demon. They were all supreme beings that could easily crush Long Chen. Deities that had lived for tens of millions of years. The Curse Realm Protector was most likely a human, not a dragon. This was something that Long Chen was very clear about. In fact, it wasn't even a dragon martial artist, but it was using the power of a divine dragon. Although he didn't know what kind of power the godly kings were using, it was at least at the Genesis tier. It was quite rare for Long Chen and Biyao to possess a God of Creation stage item at a time like this. The battle was still ongoing, and the entire ancient starry sky was constantly shaking. Some of the black stars and black jade dragon heads on them were even destroyed. From this, it could be seen how powerful these 3 were. Their battle could only be described as world-shattering and unprecedented. Curse Realm Protector, if this battle continues, it will only destroy this place. There is no meaning to it at all. Let us leave, and we promise not to set foot in this place again." As they fought, the godly king of hell was still persisting. In truth, the fact that the arrogant godly king of hell had said such a thing proved that the Curse Realm Protector had the upper hand in this battle. The Curse Realm Protector was fighting 1 against 2, and yet it could suppress its opponents. Clearly, it had the strength of a consummate godly king. In the entire myriad realms, there weren't many consummate godly kings. Although the godly king of hell had pleaded for peace multiple times, it had almost no effect. The Curse Realm Protector didn't speak. But it didn't stop fighting at all. Boom, boom. Tremors could be heard from outside. Every explosion meant that a star was destroyed, and a black jade dragon head was destroyed. If a star was destroyed, then the black jade dragon head might disappear too. The Curse Realm Protector said that black dragons are cursed mystical dragons. If a star is destroyed, doesn't that mean that they will die? At this thought, Longchen felt a little sad. His feelings for the mystical dragons couldn't be compared to the feelings he had for all the gods here combined. Following that, the battle continued. The gods who remained on the Black Island were still in a state of panic. It was difficult for them to calm down and focus, and they were extremely worried. Meanwhile, the battle outside had clearly reached a stage where it was rather intense. Even the sounds of stars exploding had become much more rapid. Although they could not see what was happening outside, Long Chen would frown with every explosion. "You're not feeling well." Diyao's golden eyes looked at him. "No." Long Chen shook his head. He just felt that continuing this battle wouldn't benefit anyone. At this time, he heard the voice of the Curse Realm Protector. He said, "Child, I can only leave you alone. The others must die. This is the rule of the Curse Realm, and my duty." Being able to communicate with him alone made Long Chen extremely excited. He hurriedly said, "Senior, although it's a rule, it will obviously attract more trouble. After all, these immortals are only the weakest. There are still God Kings and God Emperors behind them, and they are all much stronger than these two. If they all die here and only I leave, they will definitely come here again." Everyone outside knew that these godly kings had entered the primordial mystic realm. There was no way to hide it. The Curse Realm Protector said, "I am only carrying out my duty. I have no regrets even if I die." His tone was stiff and rigid. "These two god kings, I will be able to deal with them in another 15 minutes. The Curse Realm Protector said. He was even more terrifying than Long Chen had imagined. Long Chen thought for a bit and calmly said, "Although duty is important, it isn't impossible to be flexible. If you kill them, it might bring an even greater disaster to the Curse Realm. None of them are weaklings. Your battle has already destroyed quite a few stars, right? What about those cursed black dragons? For their sake, I feel that you should be flexible and make an agreement with the two God Kings." Speaking of this, the Curse Realm Protector was the one who truly cared. He remained silent for a while before replying, "Indeed, I don't want them to die." Long Chen was overjoyed and said, "Then let them go. The divinities should still keep their promises. If they still want to come here in the future, I will do everything in my power to stop them." He was confident in his future. In the future, he would definitely not be weak. He would definitely be able to raise his status among the divinities. With that, the Curse Realm Protector seemed to have agreed. The battle stopped. At this time, everyone could clearly see the situation outside through the Divine Kingdom. They saw the two God Kings and the Curse Realm Protector standing opposite each other. The Curse Realm Protector was clearly unharmed, while the two God Kings were pale and covered in blood. They were panting heavily and looked extremely weak. Just as the Curse Realm Protector had said, if the battle continued, he would be able to easily kill the two God Kings. This scene caused the divinities to feel extreme fear. In truth, the two God Kings were in despair. They also did not understand why the Curse Realm Protector would stop fighting at this time. He was already close to victory. The God King of Hell wanted Long Chen to protect Biyao and leave so that the God King could avenge them in the future. In the Divine Kingdom, the divinities were in despair. Biyao was terrified. She pulled on the corner of Long Chen's clothes and followed behind him in a daze, afraid that he would leave. The scene suddenly became silent. The God King of Hell took a deep breath and said, "Why did you stop? I haven't fought enough." Chapter 26:36. Hearing this, the two God Kings and the other gods were stunned. Previously, the Curse Realm Protector had been very determined to kill them. Now, he could almost kill the two godly monarchs. As long as he killed the godly monarchs, it would be a piece of cake for him to kill the others. If he really wanted to sue for peace, he should have said so from the beginning, not now, so this surprise came too suddenly, and everyone couldn't react. This wasn't just a surprise, it was a ray of hope for survival. Long Chen heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the Curse Realm Protector had listened to him. Although he didn't know what would happen in the future, if the Curse Realm Protector killed them, God King Jun would definitely kill them. Although the two godly kings didn't quite understand, the godly king of hell immediately said, "We can understand your responsibility. It was our fault to intrude into this place without permission, so we lost a few godly friends. It can be considered a heavy punishment. Since you are willing to forgive us, we can naturally guarantee that we will not enter this place again in the future and cause trouble for you." The Curse Realm Protector said, "I have another condition." The Infernal God King's expression changed. He was indeed afraid of the Curse Realm Protector's condition. In the battle just now, the Curse Realm Protector had been suppressing them. Now was their only chance to survive. They could give up many things. The gods became nervous again. The Curse Realm Protector said, "The condition is, I want that Long Chen to stay with me for a while." For a moment, the gods were silent. The Infernal God King coughed twice, feeling a bit awkward. This time, Long Chen had saved Biyao twice. If they left him here, it would be too unkind. Everyone knew how terrifying the Curse Realm Protector was. If they left him here and he couldn't leave, it would be no different from dying. Biyao was the first to say, "No, we can't let him stay here." But among the gods, only she said this. The others moved away, worried that they would be implicated. Although they were gods, their hearts were no different from humans. They were even more selfish. Long Chen knew that the Curse Realm Guardian wouldn't do anything to him, so he said, "It doesn't matter. If I can trade myself, everyone can leave safely. It's a good deal, isn't it? We're all on the same side, so don't be polite with me. I'll stay here." That's right. The Curse Realm Protector didn't kill him twice. He's a dragon warrior, so he should be fine. "Let's leave him here," the mighty god said. The God King of Hell couldn't give up the lives of all the gods just for Long Chen. Now that Long Chen had agreed, even if Biyao didn't agree, he couldn't do anything about it. He said to the Curse Realm Guardian, "All right, let's do it." Things were verbal. No one could enforce it. What would happen in the future was unknown. The Realm Protector didn't want to lose. The mighty god didn't care. "You can't leave." Biyao was nervous. She grabbed Long Chen's arm. Her golden eyes flashed with anxiety and worry. It was rare for her to worry about him. Long Chen smiled and said, "Don't worry. I'm fine. Goodbye." He was very decisive. He shook off Biyao's hand. At this time, the Infernal God King let him go outside. "Long Chen, I'm sorry. We had no choice. We wanted to give you a reward." The Infernal God King said helplessly. Long Chen didn't want to say more. At this time, the Curse Realm Protector waved his arm. A golden vortex appeared not far away. "Go." The Curse Realm Protector said one word. The Infernal God King took one last look at Long Chen and said, "Take care." After saying that, he and Astral God King entered the golden vortex. In an instant, the golden vortex disappeared. They should have left the Curse Realm and returned to the Eastern Star region. Only Long Chen and the Curse Realm Protector were left. Chen, if we have time, we should accompany him. He is our ancestor. Long Chen nodded. Not only was the Curse Realm Protector Long Chen's ancestor, but he was also the ancestor of the primordial gods. After all, that was the origin of the human race. He sat down cross-legged and began to study the primordial divine dragon heavenly calamity tome that the Curse Realm Protector had given him. After reading it carefully, he was pleasantly surprised. With his current cultivation level, if he converted all the divine spirit source power, he would be able to reach the Genesis tier. However, it would take much less time than others. Xiao Lang and the others are still waiting for me outside. The 5 dragon cities need someone to take charge. I have to settle this as soon as possible. Long Qinglan and Kitten had already been posted on the official account. Everyone, please open WeChat and follow the madman's official account, Feng Qingyang. The Hell God King thought, he even gave me a world creation level boundless technique. How generous. Many God Kings desire a world creation level boundless technique. For example, he was currently at the world creation level. This was the foundation of a God King. Biyao was also at the world creation level, but that was her limit. I'll contact my father first. After thinking it through, Biyao left. Her golden hair fluttered in the wind as she gradually disappeared from the Hell God King's vision. I'm afraid no one expected such a thing to happen. Hee. The Hell God King headed east. Soon, he stepped into the Eternal Life God domain and headed towards the Dragon City of Life. Under the radiance of the Eternal Opal, the life force in the Sea of Life is the most vigorous in the entire world. At least for now, the 5 great dragon cities are truly blessed lands. No wonder some of the brats are jealous. It's just that this time, Long Chen has made a great contribution. Soon, he stood above the Dragon City of Life. His godly aura descended. Instantly, all the dragon warriors felt it. This was a godly aura that made them want to worship. Many of the dragon warriors couldn't help but kneel under this godly aura. There was a certain degree of commotion in the Dragon City of Life. At this time, the 3 dragon emperors appeared. One of them asked, Supreme God, welcome to the Dragon City of Life. What can I do for you? They had never seen the Hell God King's true body, so they didn't know which god he was. The Hell God King said, I am the Hell God King, and I have something to inform everyone. Please invite Mo Xiaolang and the other dragon emperors here. Hell God King. This title was naturally the most resounding. He was the strongest of the returning gods, and also the one who appeared the most. He was one of the 2 current God Kings of the human race. He was basically a ruler. The 3 dragon emperors hurried to inform the others. Not only had he been seriously injured the last time, but he had also lost all face. This time, he had to regain his face. Mo Xiaolang rushed in front of him and blocked him with the flawless world of fire. He hated people who only dared to attack others behind their backs. Although Soi Eon was still in human form, she could use the black hole law to a certain extent. Her destructive power was great. The divine soldiers and divine generals were frightened by the black hole that she couldn't control and immediately fled behind Thunder God from the 9th heaven. At this time, the dragon emperors returned. Seeing the destruction in Eternal Dragon City, everyone was furious. There were even innocent people who died tragically. The ones who attacked them were actually the primordial gods they worshipped, their ancestors. Mo Xiaolang gritted his teeth and said, Thunder God from the 9th heaven, you dared to destroy the 5 great dragon cities. As a primordial god, you actually did such a shameless thing. Don't you feel ashamed? Thunder God's voice was like thunder as he roared, what kind of joke is this? I can't even destroy this broken place. Who the hell do you think you are? Where's Long Chen? Call him out. Last time, I let him sneak up on me and he won by luck. This time, I want to fight him again. Call him out." The other divine soldiers and divine generals laughed. Thunder God continued, "I'm guessing that it must be very comfortable in the cursed realm. There's no daylight, and you're always by the side of a devil. I wonder if he still has flesh and blood." Mo Shaolang narrowed his eyes. It was indeed rare to see such a despicable person among the primordial gods. To be honest, Mo Shaolang would definitely be under a lot of pressure. After all, he was only at the ultimate realm of the primordial chaos demon realm, while Thunder God was a primordial realm divine lord who was proficient in many types of lightning divine lord laws. Mo Xiaolang's only advantage should be the Genesis level power that had almost taken shape and was more superior and majestic than Thunder God from the ninth heaven, the 9 burning heavens origin power. He integrated the divine fire into the flames. The battle really started. The Dragon Emperors had long expected this, so before that, they had already been thinking of ways to protect the weak dragon warriors of Eternal Dragon City. Now that the overall strength of Eternal Dragon City had skyrocketed, the Eternal Heavenly Diagram could even block the attacks of ordinary gods. To ensure their own safety, they could only rely on Sui Yan and Mo Shaolang to drive these gods away. Now that the masses were filled with righteous indignation, their view of the gods had changed slightly. They began to reminisce about the days when Long Chen and Mo Shaolang had turned the tide and defeated the primeval troll. The battle started. Fortunately, the Eternal Sacred Realm had been stabilized by the Eternal Opal, so it could withstand the battle of gods. Back then, when the weakened war demon had reached the Eternal Sacred Realm, it had almost torn the entire world apart. Sui Yan did not dare to transform into her primeval troll form, as she was not very familiar with the control. But even in human form, she had a very powerful weapon, and that was the Black Hole Law. This was a terrifying law with unlimited power. Although there were many divine soldiers and generals, and their cultivation was complicated, a single black hole from Sui Yan could often destroy all their laws. Although she was not familiar with the control, it was clear that these divine soldiers and generals could not do anything to Sui Yan. What a bunch of trash. When the God King of Hell asks, I can only say that I accidentally killed you. Chapter 2639. That was to defeat him. Although the chances were slim, Mo Shaolang never lacked the will to fight. These were the 5 dragon cities protected by Long Chen, which was no different from what he was protecting. At that moment, Thunder God from the 9th heaven unleashed his power once again. This time, he wanted to kill Mo Shaolang with a single blow. Hence, the rules he used were much more powerful and terrifying. The mighty starry sky thunder was a relatively small consumption for him, but this move consumed a lot of his energy. From this, it was clear how determined he was to kill Mo Shaolang. Thunder God spread his arms and took a horse stance. His posture looked like he was holding a large ball. His entire body was entangled by electric snakes, and only his 9-colored electric snake hair danced in the air like long whips. It was difficult to see his other parts clearly. At this moment, he roared. Vast thunder of the 9th heaven. Ding! There was a soft sound, and 9 electric balls appeared in the center of his hands. These 9 electric balls were of different colors, representing different types of divine thunder. Each type of divine thunder was extremely violent. The 9 electric balls danced in his hands. Thunder God threw the 9 electric balls as if he were performing acrobatics. As the number of times he threw them increased, the speed of his hands had reached a level that even Mo Shaolang could not see. The 9 electric balls kept growing in size, and in the blink of an eye, they were 100 meters in diameter. They had the power to destroy heaven and earth. More importantly, as their speed increased, the 9 types of divine thunder would obviously get closer to each other. The moment they fused and exploded would be the moment when their destructive power would be at its most terrifying. This vast thunder of the 9th heaven had condensed nearly half of Thunder God's power. If not for the fact that he wanted to kill Mo Shaolang, he would not have used this move. In fact, when he made his move, Mo Xiaolang was even faster. He knew that he could not just sit and wait for death, so he used Fiery King's 9-9 Burning Heavens formation. This was a formation diagram recorded in the 9-9 Burning Heavens mystic technique, which could be considered a power at the level of creation. Although he was not as powerful as Fiery King, when he really used it, it might be even more powerful, because Fiery King had not cultivated the 9-9 Burning Heavens mystic technique to the extreme. Flames raged in the formation diagram. The Black Wolf Demon looked especially brave in the flames. Big Brother Xiaolang, Sui Yan had easily suppressed several divine soldiers and divine generals, but she was still a little worried. Needless to say, the dragon martialists below were even more worried. After all, Thunder God from the 9th heaven was already very terrifying at this moment. The power that erupted from the 9 heavens' vast lightning was probably twice as destructive as the mighty starry sky thunder. How could Mo Xiaolang block it? Thunder God from the 9th heaven was enraged to the extreme. He had lost all sense of propriety and boundaries. The vast lightning of the 9th heaven blasted out, and the 9 lightning balls bombarded Mo Xiaolang. The most frightening thing was that during this process, the 9-colored divine thunderbolts actually collided with each other and fused into a huge 9-colored lightning ball. Since the divine thunderbolts each had quite violent characteristics, true fusion was impossible. Hence, the attack power of the vast lightning of the 9th heaven was concentrated here. The 9-colored divine thunderbolt exploded. Activate the secret formation. In the face of such an attack, Mo Xiaolang took advantage of the situation and activated the power of the 9-9 Burning Sky secret formation. Dozens of divine fires were helping him. He roughly knew that he was almost at the end of his rope. In order to block the vast lightning of the 9th heaven, he had almost emptied himself. His fighting strength was very limited, and it seemed that it would be somewhat difficult to block him again. If the direction of his attack had not been towards Eternal Dragon City, Mo Xiaolang would probably have been able to dodge by himself halfway through. What? The feeling of being completely exhausted really doesn't feel good, does it? To be honest, you have really broadened my horizons. For the primal chaos demonic realm to be able to reach this level is indeed quite a miracle. I believe that what you have cultivated is the Genesis level boundless divine technique. How enviable. That is something that only ordinary divine kings can possess. Thunder God from the 9th heaven laughed coldly and closed in on Mo Xiaolang. He continued, I have already said that you cannot stop me. It is time for you to end things. You should not have provoked me. My status among the 72 divine spirits is not as low as you think it is. As he advanced, his body underwent a transformation. From flesh and blood, he actually transformed into a body of 9-colored lightning. He could switch between lightning and flesh at any time, and his speed increased by several times. Indestructible chaotic lightning body in purple firmament lightning spear. I will let you have a taste of something interesting. Thunder God from the 9th heaven had transformed into a body of lightning snakes. Coupled with a primitive grade destinable divine artifact and a long and sharp lightning bolt, he still possessed a violent strength. That indestructible body and destinable divine artifact were clearly not something that the current Mo Xiaolang could deal with. It was not just Mo Xiaolang himself. Sui Yan and the people of Eternal Dragon City also felt a deep sense of helplessness at this moment. Sui Yan was struggling. She was currently surrounded by several divine soldiers and divine generals. Their opponents were worried that she would help Mo Xiaolang, so they were rather close to her. Sui Yan was indeed powerful, but most of the time, she could not grasp it well. Accept your fate. Thunder God from the 9th heaven flickered, activating his lightning spear. They could pierce through Mo Xiaolang's body at any moment. This was a very unfair battle. Mo Xiaolang only had one chance. That was the move that he had used to kill Wumo. However, with Thunder God from the 9th heaven speed, he estimated that he only had a 1/10th chance of succeeding. That probability was almost zero. Once he failed, Thunder God from the 9th heaven would not show him any mercy. Moreover, the forbidden zone of fire will probably kill him on the spot. I'm different from him. If a deity dies, not only me, but my big brother might also be in trouble. After all, the 72 deities are a group, and we are not one of them for the time being. Mo Xiaolang knew what he was doing. If Thunder God from the 9th heaven killed him, he might be punished. However, if he killed Thunder God from the 9th heaven, he might be killed by the deities. This was also the reason why Thunder God from the 9th heaven was not killed after killing Long Chen. He still knew what he was doing. This unfairness made it impossible for Mo Xiaolang to make a move. To be honest, his chances of success were even lower now, probably less than 5%. Unless Thunder God from the 9th heaven stood still and let him attack. I'll let you experience the feeling of being pierced by lightning. Thunder God from the 9th heaven liked to torture people, especially people like Mo Xiaolang, who were at the end of their rope. He had yet to take revenge for the humiliation he suffered at Long Chen's hands. Lightning shot out, and the lightning spear traveled thousands of miles in an instant. Aha! At that moment, Kitten appeared out of nowhere and punched the back of Thunder God's head just as he was about to attack. Thunder God from the 9th heaven grunted, staggered, and almost fell to the ground. Who? Dizzy, he let out a deafening roar and abruptly turned around. Son of a bitch, you don't even recognize your father anymore? Your mother is calling you home to eat shit. Kitten fled, disappearing in a puff of smoke. This interlude had indeed come rather suddenly. Mo Xiaolang did not know what tricks he had up his sleeves to lie dormant for such a long time and strike at Thunder God at such a critical moment. Not only did he infuriate Thunder God so much that his lungs were about to explode, but he also provided Mo Xiaolang with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. 5% had become 100%. At that moment, Mo Xiaolang had no time to hesitate. Kitten had beaten him up, and by the looks of it, he had consumed quite a bit of his origin core. This kind of opportunity was not easy to come by. Kitten understood Mo Xiaolang, which was why he had taken such a risk. He clearly wanted Mo Xiaolang to use the Fire Forbidden Zone. He could not hesitate any longer. Thunder God would not show any mercy to them. Mo Xiaolang gritted his teeth and used the Fire Forbidden Zone. When Thunder God turned back to look for Kitten, countless divine flames pounced on him, forming a giant lotus. This was the sun-devouring direwolf's magical power, and it had a terrifying effect. Surrounded by the divine flames, Thunder God, who was in a sorry state, had yet to rush out. His body had already shrunk under an invisible devouring power. The key to the Fire Forbidden Zone was not fire, but devouring. His body shrank together with the lotus. In fact, this was the effect of devouring. The speed of the Fire Forbidden Domain was not slow. As long as Mo Xiaolang swallowed the lotus, Thunder God from the 9th heaven would disappear without a trace. Clearly, Thunder God from the 9th heaven had sensed the threat of death. Thunder God from the 9th heaven passed by him. Just as he was about to take off, lightning suddenly flashed in his eyes. In that instant, the indestructible chaotic thunder body appeared again, and he turned into a person composed of 9 colored thunderbolts. The purple night lightning spear in his hand instantly erupted with thousands of streaks of lightning. He let out a roar, and after walking for a short distance, he suddenly turned back to attack. Not only that, but it was even more violent than before. His despicable, shameless, and obscene nature could no longer be described in words. Everyone maintained a certain bottom line in their hearts, thinking that the deities and ancestors wouldn't do something like this. In the end, he really did. Even when he came out of the forbidden zone of fire and even made the vow, he had decided to do so. He just wanted to confuse Mo Xiaolang. As a result, when Mo Xiaolang exhausted his strength, he suddenly erupted. The indestructible chaotic thunder body flashed, and he instantly appeared in front of Mo Xiaolang. The purple night lightning spear was like a bolt of lightning as it shot toward him. All of this happened at a critical moment. Mo Xiaolang had actually made some preparations, but Thunder God from the 9th heaven had prepared for this strike for too long. He was a ruthless person who would ignore oaths and use all means at his disposal. He didn't care about his image as a deity. In my eyes, only the final victory or defeat matters. The process doesn't matter at all. These were his words as he roared at this moment. The purple night lightning spear pierced through Mo Xiaolang's flawless world of fire and stabbed into the sun-devouring demonic wolf's chest, nearly piercing out from the back. At this moment, everyone almost suffocated. Go to hell. Thunder God from the ninth heaven laughed. He believed in the power of his purple night lightning spear. When he pulled this destinable divine artifact out of Mo Xiaolang's body, the sun-devouring demonic wolf transformed into a human form and descended from the sky. After using the forbidden zone of fire, even if he was prepared, it would still be difficult for him to block Thunder God from the ninth heaven's attack. No one would have thought that a deity, an ancestor, would be despicable to such an extent. This was something that everyone had seen with their own eyes, and it was not fabricated. Thunder God from the ninth heaven's actions today indeed had no bottom line, and all living beings despised him. Such a deity was indeed shocking. Seeing that Mo Xiaolang was injured, they didn't think that Mo Xiaolang had done anything wrong in giving up on killing Thunder God from the ninth heaven. They only felt that Thunder God was despicable and looked down on him. At this moment, in everyone's eyes, this fellow was not a deity at all, but just a powerful mortal. Is this a deity? Everyone couldn't help but doubt. In their opinion, perhaps only Long Chen could truly be called a deity. He had saved the world and created countless miracles. He had abandoned his own fate for the sake of the world, yet he had returned victorious. As for these so-called ancestors and deities, they couldn't even compare to 1/10,000th of Long Chen. For a moment, everyone's eyes were bloodshot, and they couldn't help but want to fight Thunder God from the ninth heaven. The Dragon Emperor and the others were very pained. Mo Xiaolang was a kind and simple person, yet he had been hurt by such a despicable person. Moreover, it was obvious that Thunder God from the ninth heaven wanted to kill him. After his successful strike, he had already caught up with Mo Xiaolang again. This time, he wanted to take Mo Xiaolang's life. Evil creature, I'm not as stupid as you to give my enemy a chance to live. Since ancient times, only life and death have mattered in battles, and only the results mattered. What does it matter if you beat me in the process? That's how stupid uncivilized beasts are. His attack this time, of course, would take Mo Xiaolang's life. However, he had forgotten one person. That person was Sui Yan. Sui Yan was the closest person to the scene. She had witnessed it all. She admired Mo Xiaolang's courage and respected his decision to let Mo Xiaolang go. At that time, Sui Yan had also believed that the gods would never go back on their oaths. She hadn't expected Thunder God from the ninth heaven to teach her a lesson right before her eyes. She had seen Thunder God from the ninth heaven stab Mo Xiaolang with her own eyes. In that moment, her eyes turned bloodshot. Even though she was a coward, and even though she wasn't adept at fighting, she still felt the urge to go crazy. In that moment, her body underwent a monumental transformation, and in the blink of an eye, a primeval devil appeared above Eternal Dragon City. Demon Hua. It had a snake-like head and body, thick limbs, and huge wings. Its entire body emanated a terrifying and horrifying aura. However, such a terrifying image was much more adorable than Thunder God from the ninth heaven. At least, they knew that this was Sui Yan, a cute girl. It was Thunder God from the ninth heaven who had driven a cute girl like her to the point of madness. Those blood-red eyes were so similar to Devil Hua's in the past. Sui Yan didn't hesitate. She spread her wings and thousands of tiny black holes rushed out towards Thunder God and the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. At the same time, her huge tail curled up and protected Mo Xiaolang. Mo Xiaolang had recovered a little from his initial injuries, but he was still a little dizzy. He could vaguely see that Sui Yan seemed to have transformed into a primeval troll and saved him. Primeval troll, ah! How dare you go against me? The God King of Hell has said that if you dare swallow a person, he'll take your life. Let's go together. This was the cold-blooded bloodline of the Devil Hua bloodline. Thunder God from the ninth heaven was stunned. He turned around in a daze and saw that his divine soldiers and divine generals were unable to resist the suction force of the black hole. In a very short time, they were all sucked into the black hole while screaming miserably. That meant death. Thunder God felt the threat of death again. Just like when he was in Mo Xiaolang's fire-forbidden domain, he felt the threat of death 3 times in a row. Impossible. Thunder God roared. He was losing control of himself more and more. You dare kill a deity? You're courting death. Even if you don't kill me, no one in the world can save you. Damn primeval troll. Do you think you can change your nature just because you changed your soul? Thunder God didn't beg for mercy. He was just trying to scare him. He admitted that if the other party didn't stop, he would die. He couldn't use the same method twice, so he shouted at the top of his lungs, "If you kill me, then everyone around you will die. I'm a primordial god. This evil creature and that Long Chen will all die because of your mistake." He was confident that he could scare this little guy. You taught me to kill when the other party dies. At that moment, that young and tender voice spoke to Thunder God from the ninth heaven. Soi Eon was no longer as simple and timid as she used to be. She had people she wanted to protect, even at the cost of her life. Therefore, she was duty-bound, fearless, and had no regrets. She frantically poured out all her strength, not wanting to hear a single word from Thunder God from the ninth heaven. The black hole instantly expanded and pulled at Thunder God from the ninth heaven at a speed 10 times faster than before. The process was extremely swift and violent. Thunder God's expression changed drastically as he trembled all over. Just as he was about to threaten Su Yan again, he was swallowed by the black hole before he could utter a single word. Rumble. The black hole shattered, leaving only primeval troll demon Hua and Mo Xiaolang, who had just woken up. Thunder God and the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals had all disappeared. At that moment, the whole world seemed to be quiet. The people of Eternal Dragon City also stared at them with wide eyes. They had killed several deities. This might be a treason and a disaster, but now everyone was very happy and excited. They began to cheer wildly. Not only did they not think that Soi Eon was ugly, but they even wanted to get close to her. But Mo Xiaolang knew that killing Thunder God was only the beginning of trouble. But this was an unavoidable outcome. He didn't kill, but people wanted to kill him. Chapter 2641. Yen, calm down. Now, Thunder God from the ninth heaven and his divine soldiers and generals had disappeared. Thunder's attacks were fast and powerful, and could cause huge damage in an instant. However, the damage could not be sustained. Mo Xiaolang had recovered a little by now. In front of him, Soi Eon was still a huge monster. She was a primeval troll, Devil Hua. However, when facing Mo Xiaolang, her heart would only soften, no matter how angry and hateful she was. Seeing that Mo Xiaolang was safe and sound, she came to her senses and obediently transformed into her human form. She hugged Mo Xiaolang with a pale face. She knew what she had done. Sobbing, she said, "I'm sorry, big brother Xiaolang. I've caused you big trouble." Mo Xiaolang patted her back and said, "It has nothing to do with you. Trouble came to me. I still have to thank you for saving my life. If it weren't for you, I would be dead now." After waking up, he had to face this fact. Mo Xiaolang did not blame Soi Eon at all. He even regretted not killing Thunder God from the ninth heaven at the beginning, causing him to be in danger again. He was also a proud person. The other could kill him, but he could not kill her. He could not accept such an unfair situation. Now was the time to think of a way to face it. Looking down, some people were excited, while others were worried. Those who were worried were those who were more meticulous. They were deeply aware that there was no benefit in offending the gods. In fact, the people of the 5 major dragon cities knew that the returning gods were not as easy to talk to as they had imagined. Just when Mo Xiaolang and Sui Yan had not spoken much, and had not even had the chance to communicate with Yang Yu and the others, they sensed that other gods had arrived because of the commotion here. In fact, there were quite a few of them. After all, due to the intense battle just now, the Dragon God domain was just a small place to the gods. Basically, all the gods in the southern part of the Dragon God domain were attracted by the battle in the Eternal Dragon City. However, as they approached, they saw the black hole and heard Thunder God from the ninth heaven screams. They sensed his aura come to an abrupt halt before he completely disappeared from this world. He was connected to all the divine soldiers and divine generals of the Nine Lightning Divine City and was devoured by the black hole law. After devouring a divine monarch and a few gods, Suyan's power that originally belonged to Devil Wa had expanded, making her stronger than before. She was still considered a withered Devil Wa, but she was no longer the same as before the battle. In fact, if Sui Yan wasn't restricted by anyone, she would be able to regain the strength of Devil Wa's ultimate god king in less than a month. Of course, Sui Yan was afraid of this kind of power recovery. Especially now that she was surrounded by the gods, she was already feeling afraid. The punishment for killing Thunder God from the ninth heaven was about to arrive. These gods, as well as the divine soldiers and divine generals who followed them, were all gods of the southern territory. They looked at Mo Xiaolang and Sui Yan in disbelief and anger. They had already subconsciously surrounded the two of them, their eyes filled with thick killing intent. One of the gods looked around and confirmed that he couldn't find Thunder God from the ninth heaven. His voice became extremely cold as he said word by word, "You guys actually killed Thunder God from the ninth heaven." There was no need for an answer. The truth was right before their eyes. However, the gods were still deeply shocked. Firstly, it was because of their strength, and secondly, it was because of their courage. In this era dominated by the gods, how could they have the courage to actually kill a god? To be honest, it's really strange recently. We've followed the Divine Emperor and the various god kings to travel the infinite worlds, and for millions of years, almost no one has died. We've only just returned to the dragon sacrificial continent, but two of our brothers have already died in the Curse Realm, and Thunder God from the ninth heaven actually died here. The gods didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This dragon sacrificial continent, once the number one continent in the infinite worlds, was actually this strange. Although there weren't many people who liked Thunder God from the ninth heaven's fiery and vengeful personality, and there were even many who hated him, he was still a member of the gods after all. There was an agreement among the gods not to kill each other, or else they would be punished heavily. Therefore, no matter how one looked at it, Mo Xiaolang and Sui Yan would not be able to escape misfortune today. The gods only surrounded them but didn't make a move. They just didn't want to stand up for this matter. They crossed their arms and looked coldly at the two young children, Mo Xiaolang and Sui Yan. Below, the dragon martialists realized that a crisis was coming. They didn't dare to shout excitedly anymore, for fear that it would bring an even greater disaster to Mo Xiaolang. Everyone's heart was heavy. The dragon emperors were also panicking. Now that their pillar of support was gone, their hearts were in a mess for a moment. One of them was a god that was as black as ink and had black threads wrapped around his body. He was the owner of the Dark Underworld Divine City next to the ancient Battle God City, Dark Underworld God. He wandered around Mo Xiaolang and Sui Yan and chuckled, "It's not easy, it's really not easy to have such courage. I seem to remember the God King of Hell saying that if you, little girl, devour a person, he will consign you to eternal damnation. Now that you've devoured Thunder God from the ninth heaven, the taste isn't bad, right? Maybe this is just the beginning. Are you going to devour us as well?" To be honest, although the world seems to be much better now with the eternal opal and everyone has become stronger, I still miss the past. Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang have contributed so much to this world. After returning, they still have to humble themselves and be ruled by these gods. It's really hard on them. Yes. I don't know if Xiaolang and Yan can survive this calamity. I can only hope that Chen can return soon. If he finds out something happened to Xiao Lang, he probably won't be able to control himself. The Eternal Night Dragon Emperor also sighed. Although they did not say much, they had the same thought. The dragon sacrificial continent had changed. It was no longer a place that these old guys could not recognize. Of course, compared to the gods, they were not old at all. Let's wait and see. Chen-Er was able to crawl all the way here from the dragon sacrificial continent. It's not impossible for him to drive the divine emperor off the throne. Yang Yu suddenly said something that scared the hell out of everyone. Everyone looked at her in a daze. If the gods were to hear this outrageous sentence, everyone would be done for. But to be honest, although they knew it was impossible, it was still quite satisfying when they thought about it carefully. The Primordial Dragon Heavenly Tribulation Secret Tome could be said to be very simple, but it could also be said to be very difficult. In some areas, Long Chen had a huge advantage. In some areas, it might be because he lacked the Origin Dragon soul, but in some areas, it was rather troublesome. He had once asked the Guardian of the Curse Realm if he knew of the Origin Dragon Palace. The answer was that he did not know. All his memories were only of his mission, which was to protect the Curse Realm. At the same time, he only remembered that he was once a dragon attendant. Many times, he asked the Guardian of the Curse Realm about his doubts, but he always received a negative answer. Long Chen almost gave up. The Curse Realm was of great help to his cultivation of the Primordial Divine Dragon Heavenly Tribulation Secret Tome. This was the world of dragons. If it was outside, who knew how long it would take for Long Chen to master this special boundless divine technique? But one thing was certain, and that was that cultivating the Primordial Divine Dragon Heavenly Tribulation Secret Tome was much more suitable than the Genesis rank boundless divine technique. It was also more suitable for him to unleash the Ancestral Dragon's mystical abilities. It would consume less energy and unleash more destructive power. Especially in a situation where he urgently needed power. From start to finish, transforming his divine origin energy into the Primordial Divine Dragon Heavenly Tribulation origin energy took a total of 40 days. According to the Guardian of the Curse Realm, this was actually the most basic level of divine dragon power. If he wanted to cultivate a higher level of divine dragon power, it would depend on Long Chen's luck. At least for now, he had surging power that was equivalent to the Genesis rank boundless divine technique. But it was more suitable for him. It was the Primordial Divine Dragon Heavenly Tribulation origin energy that could unleash his abilities to the fullest. As Long Chen used different inheritances, the colors also changed. When Long Chen used the Primordial Blood Spirit Dragon, he was blood-colored. But when Long Chen used the Void Infinity Dragon's power, it was illusory. Although he still couldn't become a god, at least in terms of power, he had increased a lot. His strength was also very different from before. If he could immediately become a god, then he would be even more perfect. Even if it was a head-on battle, a perfect divine lord probably wouldn't be a match for him. But he was still a little lacking. But in the end, he still succeeded. As soon as he succeeded, the Curse Realm Guardian said to him, "You should leave. This isn't a place where you should stay. I've kept you here for too long." Long Chen was indeed a little uneasy. He had the 5 great dragon cities to protect. Right now, the dragon sacrificial dragon continent was no longer under his control. Although he had Mo Xiaolang's protection, Long Chen was still a little worried. After all, the other gods weren't that friendly to Mo Xiaolang and Sui Yan. Long Chen had the protection of the God King of Hell, but they didn't. "Senior, if I want to come in the future, can I?" The Curse Realm Guardian said, "It's best that you don't come in. But if fate dictates it, I can't stop you." Long Chen took a moment to comprehend the last sentence and roughly understood what he meant. "Then I'll leave first." Without another word, the Curse Realm Guardian opened a golden vortex for him. Long Chen took one last look at this mysterious Curse Realm and the dragon attendant who was once the Ancestral Dragon. He was filled with reverence for this place. But this was the Curse Realm, a tomb. The divine dragons were all cursed. In the future, I want them to return again. This was the desire in Long Chen's heart. Of course, he didn't tell the Curse Realm Guardian that he wanted to do it, not say it out loud. After coming out of the vortex, Long Chen felt as if it was a lifetime ago. He didn't feel relaxed. Although the return of the gods protected the dragon sacrificial dragon continent, his position was indeed greatly threatened. He was no longer the only core dragon emperor of slaughter. Currently, there seemed to be many challenges waiting for him. I hope it's fine. After transforming the divine spirit source energy into the primordial divine dragon heavenly tribulation source energy, even his speed increased by a lot. His target was the dragon city of life behind the black jade dragon head. Soon, he rushed onto land and took another look at the black jade dragon head. As expected, it's no different from the divine dragons in the Curse Realm. In other words, this black jade dragon head is very likely a divine dragon, a real divine dragon. It's just that it's cursed here. It was him who told me that after 100 years, the dragon sacrificial dragon would perish. Thinking of this, Long Chen's head was burning with excitement. There wasn't much time left. The 100 years back then was only about 95 years left now. Now that the gods had returned and the eternal incandescent stone had stabilized this world, would this place still perish? He hoped that the black jade dragon head could tell him other information, but it didn't. I know that you're a real divine dragon. Perhaps one day, I'll find a way to let you return to this world and escape from the curse. Then, you'll lead our dragon sacrificial dragon world to shine brightly among the myriad worlds. Perhaps, we'll even become the number one in the myriad worlds before the last epoch. Long Chen yearned for that era immensely. The dragon sacrificial dragon continent was incomparably huge. Countless divine dragons were dancing on it. It was a holy nation of experts, and all the divine dragons were led by the 10 great ancestor dragons. To that era, even something like the eternal incandescent stone was probably nothing. Now that he put the matter of the black jade dragon head aside, he arrived in the sky above the dragon city of life in the blink of an eye. However, he discovered that someone was actually waiting for him in the sky. The person he was most familiar with was naturally Yang Yu. Long Chen instantly went over and said solemnly, "Aunt Yu, I'm back now that I'm fine. Are the 5 great dragon cities still safe and sound?" Long Chen's speed was too fast, giving Yang Yu a fright. Seeing that Long Chen was safe and sound, she calmed down and said, "Something happened. Thunder God from the 9th heaven attacked the eternal dragon city and was killed by Xiao Lang and Yen Er. After that, they were escorted to the Hell God city. It's been 10 days, and we don't know if they're still alive or not. You should hurry over." Long Chen's eyes were instantly filled with killing intent. Without another word, he headed toward the universal shifting formation. "Chen, settle it calmly." Yang Yu couldn't help but remind him. "Aunt Yu, don't worry. I know what I'm doing." Impulsiveness was the devil. His opponents were the deities. He couldn't be impatient at this moment. Now that the fate of Mo Xiaolang and the others was unknown, Long Chen had made his own decision. If they were no longer around, then there was no need to say anything. Even if it couldn't be done now, there would be a day when someone had to accompany them in death. If they were still alive, as their elder brother, his only mission was to bring them back safely. "Boss, I'll go with you too. This time, I'm really pissed off." Kitten came out from the side. He had also participated in that battle and helped Mo Xiaolang a lot. Later on, the deities targeted Mo Xiaolang. He couldn't do anything even if he stood out. Hence, he waited here for Long Chen. "Let's go." Long Chen pulled him closer to the God Kingdom and stepped into the universal shifting formation. When they came out of the universal shifting formation of the devouring dragon city, Kitten had already told Long Chen everything that had happened. Madman will discuss the topic of Gu Long's manuscript with teacher Tsing Zihang, special guest, host, relationship expert, at 18:30 on November 4th at Beijing Normal University. As one of the 2 mentors, there will be fan interaction. Friends who want to sign up for autographs and photos should hurry up and sign up. Of course, the premise is that you have to be in Beijing, or else it would be too far. Students who want to sign up to participate, send your phone number and name to this email, @lushchinesial. Someone will contact you. This is the first offline gathering. If you want to talk to Madman face to face and be gay, come and join, and the fun girls are welcome. Chapter 2643. It wasn't far from the devouring dragon city to the hell god city. These two places were both in the western territory of the dragon god domain. In the past, the devouring dragon city was the core of the western territory. It was a place where people yearned for. But now, it was different. The gods had returned, and it was an unprecedented flourishing time. Every city with a god was a place of pilgrimage. As for the western territory, because of the return of the Hell God King, the Hell God City had become the #1 holy land in the western territory. Without a certain amount of capital, one wouldn't even be qualified to approach the Hell God City. As for the descendants of the Hell God City, or the martial artists who belonged to the outer city, they were treated well. Their progress was much faster than others. Long Chen was furious when he first heard the news. But after seeing the Hell God City, he calmed down completely. This was his best state. With his identity, he naturally didn't need to announce his visit to the Hell God City. Outside the Hell God City, there were divine soldiers and generals under the Hell God King guarding it. Long Chen's appearance naturally attracted their attention. Who is it? The divine soldiers and divine generals surrounded him and took a closer look. It was actually Long Chen. Long Chen had stayed in the curse world for more than a month, and the various deities had thought that he would never return. There were even rumors that he had died inside. Unexpectedly, he was still alive. So it's you. Did you just come out from the curse world? You've come to find the God King of Hell, right? However, the God King has been out recently and isn't in God's city. If there's nothing else, you can leave first. They seemed to be making things difficult for him. The sacrificial dragon continent was only so big. If he wanted the Hell God King, as long as he didn't hide from him, he would be able to hear him as long as he roared. Long Chen couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with these divine soldiers and generals. Most importantly, it had been 10 days since Mo Xiaolang and Soi Yan were escorted here. If anything had happened, 10 days would have been more than enough. Long Chen's eyes narrowed as he stared at the leading young divine general. He was also at the consummate stage of the Tai Chi divine realm, but he looked younger than the other divine generals. It was because of his potential that he was able to stay by the side of the God King of Hell. However, Long Chen was younger and more imposing. Although he hadn't become a god, after cultivating the primordial divine dragon tribulation origin power, he could make this divine soldier yield with just a glance. Tell me, how did the Hell God King deal with Mo Xiaolang and Soi Yan? He had already locked onto the divine general. Under the pincer attack of his will, the divine general's forehead was drenched in sweat as he muttered, they. I am not too sure, but I heard that they might have already been killed. After all, the God King of Heavenly Hell is furious. Just hearsay. Long Chen wouldn't be disturbed by such uncertain news. He had indeed returned late, but he didn't expect such a thing to happen. In fact, he was the same as Mo Xiaolang and the others. He didn't expect Thunder God from the 9th heaven to be despicable to such an extent. Otherwise, Soi Yan wouldn't have killed him out of anger. He passed by the divine soldiers and generals. At this moment, a group of gods came out of the Hell God City. There were about 20 of them. Naturally, most of them were divine monarchs. They were one of the 72 gods. When they saw Long Chen return alive, they narrowed their eyes in disgust. They're lucky. The Hell God King didn't kill them on the spot for your sake. However, he has already sentenced them to life imprisonment. Now, they are imprisoned in a secret place deep in the Hell God City. Without the Hell God King's order, no one can see them. The one who spoke to Long Chen was a cold and elegant woman in a jade green dress. She was voluptuous but cold and noble. Her eyes hid a deep disdain for Long Chen. She should be the coquettish bitch that Kitten mentioned. The divine storm lord. Life imprisonment. As long as they didn't die, Long Chen was still slightly relieved. If they didn't die, then there was a way to save them. If they died, then it would be his big mistake. It was his negligence. He didn't expect to cause such a big incident. If this had happened earlier, he would have let Thunder God from the ninth heaven lie in bed for a while longer. This Hell God city was a kind of prehistoric, destinable divine artifact controlled by the Hell God King. If Mo Xiaolang and Sui Yan were imprisoned in the depths of this place, only the Hell God King could save them. It seemed like he had to plead with the Hell God King for this matter. However, the Hell God King had already decided on something like killing a god, so the chances of success were very low. Long Chen clenched his fists tightly. To be honest, he was a little unconvinced. This sacrificial dragon continent was saved by him and Mo Xiaolang at the risk of their lives. If it weren't for them, this world would have long been plunged into misery and suffering. Although the primordial gods were something people yearned for, they had left for millions of years. Now that they had suddenly returned, under their rule, Long Chen felt like an outsider instead. He couldn't even protect his own brother and sister. He was very unreconciled. This woman called Storm God Monarch was indeed very arrogant. She seemed to have even said that she would kill Mo Xiaolang on the spot. Long Chen and his brother had no grudges against each other, so why did she have to target them like this? If there's nothing else, then hurry up and leave. Don't even think about seeing them again. At the very least, within the next 100,000 years, the God King won't let them see anyone. They committed the crime of killing a god and are imprisoned for life. The God King is already being merciful. Storm God Monarch couldn't help but mock. Kitten exploded in anger and said, "Boss, why aren't you beating this woman up? I'll help you cover Big Sister Lingxi's eyes. You do it." Long Chen couldn't help but laugh. Of course, this was just a joke. Facing the god's covetous gaze, Long Chen still stood there without moving, as if he didn't hear Storm God Monarch's words. The Storm God King sneered when he saw that Yi Futian was ignoring him. He said, "Didn't you hear what I said? Leave now. You're a deity. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by others?" Long Chen was convinced by her. It seemed that she was still angry that she couldn't kill Mo Xiaolang. Coincidentally, Long Chen was also angry. He wasn't one to be polite. He curled his finger at Storm God Monarch and said, "Bitch, come out if you have the guts. Don't use your mouth. I don't want to waste my time with you. You're a god monarch, yet you're cursing like a shrew. How dare you ask me if I'm afraid of being laughed at?" Long Chen changed his expression immediately. He moved to the side and was ready to fight. His expression did not change from beginning to end. At this moment, he should have been angry, but he was much calmer than the Storm God Emperor. On the contrary, a woman like the Storm God Emperor cared about her reputation the most. After hearing what Long Chen said, she felt like her lungs were about to explode. Without a word, she rushed forward. "Storm God Monarch, don't do it." The other gods quickly advised. "You beat him in front of the Hell God city. It won't be good if the Hell God King finds out." Right. There will be plenty of chances in the future. Don't listen to this sharp-tongued brat. He's just angry and has nowhere to vent. The Storm Monarch was indeed angry. She was angry that she failed to kill Mo Xiaolang. Now, she was even scolded as a bitch. As an exceptional realm monarch, she was ranked above average among the 72 gods. Everyone treated her with respect. She had never been humiliated like this before. "Don't worry. I'll bear the consequences of this battle." Storm God Monarch turned into a storm and appeared in front of Long Chen. It was as if the whole world was in the middle of a storm. Even the Hell God city was shaking violently. To be honest, the rules of the gods were related to their personalities. For example, the Era Sky Demon was mysterious and unpredictable. He had the time rules. Demon Wa was cold and bloodthirsty. He had a black hole that could devour everything. This storm god monarch had the violent storm rules. His temper was like a storm. Bitch, you said it. You'll bear the consequences of the battle. If I cripple you, don't cry and ask the Hell God King to punish me. But don't worry. I won't kill you. If I kill you, you won't know how to write the word shame. When it came to roguishness, Long Chen was an expert when he was young. He knew what kind of words could make a person lose their rationality. Long Chen had long understood that gods and devils were mortals with immense power. Their strength was limitless, but their intelligence would always be the same. This entire world was considered fair. This sentence was like a knife stabbing into Storm God Monarch's body. It was like a spark igniting a bomb. In an instant, the world was under her control. This woman reminded Long Chen of Feng Jilin. Many years ago, she was someone he was very familiar with. He had a romantic relationship with her. But now, Feng Jilin was obediently staying in the true martial emperor palace. Her personality was much better. Although he had scolded her, the anger in his stomach hadn't disappeared. Life imprisonment. Fuck it. Looking at this woman, Long Chen couldn't suppress the anger in his heart. He was indeed unconvinced. Gods were experts. When he was this strong, what was there to be afraid of? At most, he would just scram to the curse world. He didn't believe that the protector of the curse world wouldn't protect him. Dual swords. The spirit sword in his left hand and the plain sword in his right. With the creation divine weapon, Long Chen had instantly defeated his opponent. Primordial divine dragon heavenly tribulation origin power. In terms of level, the divine dragon power that was suitable for him had completely surpassed his opponent's primordial grade power. This was the first time Long Chen had imbued the primordial divine dragon heavenly tribulation origin power into his dual swords. Previously, he had used the same move to deal with Biyao, who was stronger than Storm God Monarch. As for now, he wanted to try and see what kind of changes this primordial divine dragon heavenly tribulation origin power would bring. In an instant. Time rupture. Back then, even Epic Sky Demon had fallen to this time law. This was Long Chen's strongest time law. Time rupture fused with Devil Slayer sword chi and soul shattering sword chi. The two sword chi shot out and formed a cross. He wanted to defeat Storm God Monarch once and for all. His attacks were much faster, more ruthless, and more accurate than Storm God Monarch. The power of time always had the upper hand. The speed of the time rupture was simply unavoidable. Storm God Monarch had the power of a great perfection realm God Monarch. The moment she used the storm law, Long Chen had the absolute advantage. She couldn't block the time rupture, much less the God Slayer sword chi and soul shattering sword chi. Double blow. In that instant, the Storm God Monarch used countless methods of resistance and escape, but she was still able to escape from the palm of the time rupture. She lost time and the power of the storm dissipated for a total of 3 breaths. This period of time was too long for Long Chen. He instantly appeared in front of the Storm God Monarch and punched her in the face, sending the Great Circle Realm God Monarch flying thousands of miles away. Chapter 2644. From the beginning to the end, only a split second had passed. The gods who were prepared to admire the perfected Divine Lord's heroic bearing had never expected the battle to end in such a short time. It could only be described as an instant kill. Although he had not been killed, Long Chen had indeed subdued Divine Lord Tempest with a single strike. Therefore, to them, there was no need to mention how shocking the battle was. Back then, they had heard of Long Chen subduing Thunder God from the 9th heaven with a single strike. However, Thunder God from the 9th heaven was only a primordial realm Divine Lord. He was incomparable to Divine Lord Tempest. Long Chen sheathed his two swords and clapped his hands in front of the gods as though nothing had happened. It was as though he had done something insignificant. He was considered benevolent. If he had really wanted to kill her, it would not have been a single punch. Instead, it would have been two creation divine weapons at the Genesis level or above that would have pierced into Divine Lord Tempest's body. A single punch would only embarrass her. Of course, it would not have seriously injured her. However, Long Chen had already achieved his greatest goal. He had not wanted to kill her in the first place. Killing her would only bring him more trouble. To Divine Lord Tempest, humiliation was much worse than death. Needless to say, the kitten was so happy that it kept meowing happily. In fact, even without the primordial divine dragon heavenly tribulation source, Long Chen would have been able to do so. The only difference was that he had previously used his two swords, time rupture. His strength had been drained and he was in a worse state than Kitten. However, it was different now. Although the primordial divine dragon heavenly tribulation source had just been converted and it had yet to be completed, he could still fight. Against Divine Lord Tempest, who had been mostly drained by time rupture, it should not be difficult for him to obtain victory with his remaining strength and powerful recovery abilities. This meant that he could defeat a perfected Divine Lord before becoming a god. This was already a myth. Of course, after the gods reacted, a portion of them rushed to receive Divine Lord Tempest while the others surrounded Long Chen. Their voices were fierce, as though Long Chen had committed a grave mistake. All of them were furious. At the end of the day, they did not treat Long Chen as one of their own. Why are you so nervous? Do you have an affair with the Storm Emperor? It seems that the Storm Emperor is quite flirtatious. I punched her once, so she must feel good now. I think she wants more. Don't you think so? Long Chen smiled and said, "What's wrong, seniors? I've already agreed with the Storm Emperor. It's just a competition. There will always be a winner and a loser. I can't kill her, so why are you so nervous? Do you have an affair with the Storm Emperor? It seems that the Storm Emperor is quite flirty." The eyes of the gods were strange. There were many strange emotions in them, such as anger, forbearance, arrogance, and so on. One of the deities angrily said, "Insignificant brat, you have no respect for your elders, openly provoking us with vulgar words. To think that you claim to have defeated the primeval troll and saved the dragon sacrificial continent. You're just a first-rate scoundrel. What qualifications do you have to be on par with us deities? That brother of yours has already been imprisoned for life. I think you'll definitely end up the same as them." Long Chen licked his lips, looked at him coldly, and said, "Is that so? You'll have to wait until I kill you." To be honest, it was not easy for him to cultivate a little bit of respect for the deities. But now, it had all been used up. He could be considered to have seen through the nature of this group of people. In the past, the deities in his heart were the symbol of wisdom, the universal love, the faith of all living beings, just like the deities in the spirit essence star sea. Although they were hostile towards Long Chen at the beginning, they were determined to defend the spirit essence star sea, even if they died. But the deities in front of him were selfish, insatiable, scheming against each other, fighting against each other, and following the law of the jungle. They were no different from mortals. It was hard to imagine how they, deities who had cultivated for more than 10 million years, could still act like this. Hearing what Long Chen said, the deities were infuriated. But they only surrounded Long Chen and did not dare to act rashly. After all, Divine Lord Tempest was already one of the strongest among them. If even Divine Lord Tempest was defeated so quickly, who knew what would happen if they surrounded him? This matter should be left to the God King of Hell to punish Long Chen. Divine Lord Tempest returned with the help of two deities. She was sent flying far away and smashed through thousands of mountains. Her body was in a mess and covered in dust. Her originally cold and elegant face had turned ugly, and her cheeks were swollen. This was the work of Long Chen's primordial divine dragon heavenly tribulation source power. Now that the main character had returned, the deities immediately shared a common enemy with her. Divine Lord Tempest clenched her fists tightly as she stood in front of Long Chen. The little guy in front of her had a smile on his face. Divine Lord Tempest was infuriated. Her huge chest heaved up and down as she pointed at Long Chen, unable to say a word. Loser, scram. Long Chen was too lazy to argue with her. Since she was against Imo Shaolang, he would punish her. In reality, this matter was mainly Thunder God from the Ninth Heaven's fault. It had nothing to do with Divine Lord Tempest. Saving Xiao Lang and Yen Air was mainly up to the God King of Hell. He didn't expect the Storm God King to know everything. It seemed like the secret conversation he had in the God Nation couldn't be hidden from the Storm God King. From a certain perspective, you are our savior. Therefore, everyone, you'd better be more respectful to Long Chen in the future. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. I've already said it so clearly, do you still not understand? The Hell God King shouted. All the gods knelt down in fright. Their faces were pale. They didn't expect such a thing to happen. The Hell God King actually placed so much importance on Long Chen. The Storm God King understood that he had suffered that punch for nothing. In the future, he would forever be suppressed by Long Chen. He would be humiliated by him and he wouldn't be able to retaliate. Understood. We all understand. All the gods said miserably. Long Chen was a little surprised by this. He had just hated the gods, but now that the God King of Hell was protecting him. Of course, this wasn't the main reason why he came here today. The Hell God King might have done this because he had saved Biyao twice. It might also be because he had asked the Curse Realm Protector to let them off. Of course, at that time, Long Chen just didn't want the Curse Realm to be destroyed by the Divine Emperor Jun. At this time, the Hell God King said to Long Chen earnestly, "You are the young hero of our dragon sacrificial continent and have saved the young Divine Emperor's life. All the gods have to respect you. Of course, the same goes for Mo Shaolang. However, there is one thing you have to understand. The gods have their own rules. For millions of years, the gods of our dragon sacrificial continent have always acted according to these rules. We can't kill each other unless you are at least 5 levels stronger than the other party. For example, I don't need to take responsibility for killing divine generals. However, Mo Shaolang and the others killed divine monarchs. Let me make it clear to you. I only pardoned his death sentence on account of his great contributions and changed it to life imprisonment. This is already the most lenient punishment I can give. The first round of the lottery draw will be held on Sunday. Everyone, hurry up and add me on WeChat, Feng Qingyang. It's a fair competition. It only depends on hand speed. This event might last for a few years. Dozens of phones will be given out. One of them will definitely be yours. Chapter 2645. This was the godly king of Hell's attitude. He could make everyone respect Long Chen and even revere Long Chen, but rules were rules. Mo Shaolang and Soi Yan killed a god and violated the rules, so they had to be punished. Seeing how the godly king of Hell treated Long Chen so generously, the godly king of Storm was worried that he would release Mo Shaolang. Now that he heard the godly king of Hell's dignified words, he was overjoyed and wanted to laugh out loud. The other gods probably felt the same way. They didn't like Long Chen and even hated him. As the ancestors of the dragon sacrificial continent, they rejected a junior god. Long Chen really couldn't understand why. After hearing the godly king of Hell's words, he narrowed his eyes. In the God Nation, Lingxi and Kitten were very worried. They naturally knew that Long Chen wouldn't let this go. Sure enough, he didn't have any fear and said, "Godly king, don't you know? Godly rules are godly rules. There's always a reason for killing. Hundreds of thousands of people in Eternal Dragon City know what happened. This matter has been spread all over the world and among the people. Who doesn't know that Thunder God from the Ninth Heaven sought his own death? If it wasn't for Soi Yan, the one dead now would be Mo Shaolang." The godly king of Hell seemed to have expected him to say this. He said, "If that's the case, I'll deal with Thunder God from the ninth heaven according to the godly rules as a warning to others." Godly rules are godly rules. If they aren't strictly enforced, who will abide by them? Long Chen was naturally not convinced. But the godly king of hell interrupted him. "Don't say any more, or they won't just be imprisoned for life. If they want to be released, there are only two possibilities. First, when Mo Shaolang becomes 5 levels higher than Thunder God from the ninth heaven, which is the ultimate godly king, he can be released without charge. In addition, if you have the combat power of an ultimate godly king, the godly king might change his decision for you. Don't think about other methods. They'll only be imprisoned forever and won't suffer any torment. But if you keep pestering them, the result will be different." He had said so much so that Long Chen would be completely convinced. This matter couldn't be rushed. If Long Chen continued to pester them and angered the God King of Hell, it would do no one any good. Long Chen thought for a while and said, "In that case, God King, can I meet them? This matter is my responsibility. As the elder brother, please go back." The godly king of hell waved his hand. To him, there was no room for negotiation. These 3 cold words were a form of humiliation to Long Chen. He would definitely remember this day when he was powerless. He protected this world, but he had no right to speak in this world. Ultimate godly king. That was Devil Wa's realm. There weren't many gods of this level, and they were second only to the godly king. At least, Mo Shaolang and the others weren't hurt or tortured. Just as he was about to leave and save his anger for the future, Biyao appeared. After more than a month, there seemed to be a trace of worry in her light golden eyes. However, her beautiful appearance and arrogant personality hadn't changed in the slightest. As soon as she appeared, even the God King of Hell instantly changed his expression and eagerly went to greet her. "Let them go," Biyao said coldly. The godly king of storm and the others were still laughing in their hearts. But when they heard Biyao's words, their smiles froze. The godly king of hell shook his head and said, "No. I made a decision according to the godly rules. Except for the godly king, no one can go against it. Princess, please don't make things difficult for me." Biyao was still as domineering as ever. She stepped forward and stared at the godly king of hell with her light golden eyes. Her long golden hair danced in the wind, outlining her beautiful curves. She said word by word, "I said, let them go." The godly king of hell took a few steps back. He was familiar with Biyao and knew that this was the most difficult moment for him to deal with. "I owe him 2 favors. If you go against me today, I won't let you go for the rest of my life. If you want my father's order, very well, I can contact him now." Biyao was very serious and didn't leave any room for negotiation. Her words were too cruel. Who would dare to make her hate him for the rest of her life? The godly king of hell knew that it wouldn't be long before she surpassed him. Moreover, if she was the one who contacted the divine emperor would listen to her even if she acted coquettishly. There was only one god who lived above the godly rules, and that was the divine emperor, Jun, because the godly rules were made by him. This gave the godly king of hell a headache. The other gods could only watch in a daze. The godly king of storm, who had been punched, was not satisfied. He mumbled, "I'm afraid that won't do. Godly rules are godly rules. How can they be messed around? Shut up if you don't want to die." Biyao turned around. Although they were equal in power, her bloodline suppressed the godly king of storm. "Yes." The godly king of storm took a few steps back in fear and didn't dare to speak again. "Godly king, I'm going to contact my father." Biyao was now the master of the situation. She was so aggressive that no one could resist. Although the 2 godly kings had the responsibility of protecting her, they couldn't stop her. Plus, what happened to Mo Shaolang was pardonable. Although the godly king of hell followed the godly rules, he wouldn't cause trouble for himself for no reason. After weighing the pros and cons, he sighed and said, "If that's the case, we'll listen to the princess." What happened was pardonable. Plus, they are our subjects, so the godly king will forgive them. That's why we'll let them go, but we won't do it again. Everyone is the same. If something similar happens again, there will be no possibility of forgiveness. He couldn't be bothered with such a trivial matter. On the god's side, their faces had long since collapsed. They had not expected Biyao to be so concerned about Long Chen's matter. No one dared to offend this little princess. At this time, the storm monarch had even quietly hid at the back. Thank you. Long Chen was grateful, even though she was only returning a favor. You're welcome. I'm just returning a favor. I still owe you one. When Biyao turned back to look at him, her expression softened, revealing her true beauty. At that moment, the godly king of hell willed it, and the hell god city behind him stirred. The city walls moved, and two people rushed out to Long Chen. It was Mo Xiaolang and Sui Yan. They were confused, but when they saw Long Chen, they were overjoyed. Big brother. Big brother Long Chen. At that moment, they found their backbone and hurried forward. In their eyes, everyone else didn't exist. Long Chen smiled in his heart. Seeing that they were safe and sound, his depressed mood was much better. It was just that some haze would not disappear so easily. He still remembered it, but of course, he could not show it at this time. He said, "It's good that you are fine. It was Princess Biyao and the God King of Hell who gave you a way out and allowed you to regain your freedom." Mo Xiaolang and Sui Yan understood and thanked them. This was just a formality. After receiving them, Long Chen would be fine. The 5 dragon cities were still anxiously waiting. Long Chen said, "I'll take them back first. If you have any orders, Long Chen will be there as soon as possible." Putting aside the matter of killing a god, the godly king of hell was quite satisfied with Long Chen. To him, it was as if nothing had happened. He smiled and said, "If that's the case, then hurry back." Wait. Biyao suddenly stopped Long Chen. Long Chen looked at this woman who seemed to have something on her mind. She was a little different from before. Before, she was only arrogant and despotic. Now, she seemed to have a bit of humanity. "Princess, what orders do you have?" This time, she was of great help. In Long Chen's heart, she was no longer an enemy. Biyao said, "I want to talk to you alone. Can the people in your god kingdom leave first?" She was talking about Lingxi and Kitten. If it was any other time, Long Chen would naturally refuse such a request. After all, Lingxi was pregnant. He had to protect her at all times. However, she was the one who saved Mo Xiaolang and Kitten, then it would be hard to refuse. Lingxi was well-mannered. She smiled and said, "Then I'll leave first. Although it's nice here, I haven't been outside for a long time." She was most used to staying in Long Chen's god kingdom. Long Chen made it her favorite place. The mountains were green, the water was clear, the birds were singing, and the flowers were fragrant. Okay. Kitten and Lingxi came out. This was the first time they appeared in front of the gods. They couldn't help but take a few more glances, especially the storm godly king. He saw Kitten. Kitten also saw her and said with a straight face, "What are you looking at Dad for?" This made the storm godly king even more furious. Biyao's gaze landed on Lingxi. She had heard that Long Chen had a wife, and couldn't help but be curious. Today, she saw that Lingxi was indeed an astonishing woman that made others feel pity for her. Especially her slightly bulging lower abdomen, it was filled with a beauty that any woman would envy. "Go back and wait for me," Long Chen whispered in her ear. "You can't cheat on me." Lingxi smiled slyly. She knew that Biyao seemed to have some strange feelings for Long Chen. It wasn't love, but there was some entanglement. "Big brother, we'll leave first." Under the eyes of the godly king of hell, of course no one dared to do anything to them. After the incident with Thunder God from the 9th heaven, naturally no one dared to do anything to them. In fact, if he let Lingxi leave, Long Chen wouldn't be able to use the spiritual sword as he pleased. This was the reason why he was most unwilling to let Lingxi leave. But now was not the time to embarrass Biyao. Follow me. After they left, Biyao beckoned Long Chen to follow her. Soon, the two of them descended from the eternal god domain and landed on the dragon sacrificial continent. The wind was blowing wildly. Long Chen tilted his head to take a look. When a woman had feelings, she indeed had the taste of a woman, and not just a spoiled divine emperor princess. Her light golden long hair spread out, sprinkling light. Under the contrast of this light golden color, her fair and tender skin was clear and translucent like jade. Coupled with the unique temperament formed by the divine emperor princess bloodline and status, she indeed had the capital to be intoxicated. But now, Long Chen's feelings had faded. It was enough to protect one person for the rest of his life. Li Xuanji, whom he couldn't bear to part with, also chose to distance herself from him. Or rather, she didn't want him to love her so intensely. Moreover, the divine emperor princess wasn't someone he could provoke. He was grateful to Biyao for rescuing Xiao Lang and Soi Yan, but he was also very careful when interacting with her alone. Soon, they landed on the dragon sacrificial continent. Biyao walked barefoot on this vast land, passing through mountains and forests. She looked at the setting sun in front of her, and her peerless beauty was on full display. As she walked, she said, "You've saved me twice. Today, I'll return the favor. You don't have any objections, do you?" This was a very worthwhile exchange. Long Chen said, "Of course not." He followed behind her, not knowing why she had invited him alone. Biyao continued, "There's one more favor. I'm planning to wait for my father to return and ask him for a Genesis-grade boundless divine technique that's suitable for you. You don't have any objections, do you?" Although she was speaking, she was mesmerized by the scenery around her, and she didn't look at Long Chen. Long Chen subconsciously said, "I don't need that for now. I've obtained something of the same effect in the curse realm." Only then did Biyao turn around. Although she couldn't see clearly like the god king of hell, she could vaguely sense that this was the power of the divine dragon she had encountered in the curse realm. Chapter 2646. The two of them continued walking aimlessly. They were both gods, and if they didn't want mortals to see them, mortals naturally wouldn't be able to see them. They passed through the bustling market and the city where martial arts were prevalent. These were all places that Long Chen was familiar with, but today, everything had changed. There was actually someone going through the reincarnation tribulation in such a small city. Of course, none of this interested them. Biyao sat down at the bottom of the city wall and looked at the dust in front of her. She said, "I took a look at your woman just now. She's really alluring. No wonder she could subdue a fearless person like you. You even dared to fight against the Era demon and even dared to attack me. In terms of courage, you're the most courageous god I've ever seen. Are you praising me or her?" Long Chen didn't quite understand why she wanted him to accompany her alone. He stood at the side and kept a certain distance from Biyao. There were soldiers stationed at the side, but no one could detect their presence. Today, Biyao was a little different. Her thoughts were a little hard to fathom. She looked into the distance, and her eyes were very lively. Suddenly, she smiled and said, "Then, do you think I'm prettier or she is prettier?" This was undoubtedly a question that made people want to vomit blood. Long Chen was already experienced. Now that Lingxi wasn't here, he just had to deal with this fellow. Thus, he said, "Princess is of noble status. You're the daughter of the divine emperor. In terms of beauty, my wife naturally can't compare to you." Biyao tilted her head, as if she had guessed that Long Chen would say this. She said, "I know you're lying. You definitely don't think so in your heart." "I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart." Long Chen was still pondering what this woman was trying to do. Biyao's interest was piqued. She stood on the city wall barefoot and walked toward Long Chen. Her pair of small feet were extremely beautiful. They were crystal clear, as smooth as jade, and as white as milk. Then why do you still love her after meeting me and not me? Don't all men like beautiful things? Her words were a bit seductive. She wasn't that kind of person, and yet she was acting like this. Perhaps she would trick him. Startled, Long Chen took a few steps back and said, "Princess, love isn't like this. It's not about what I like, but who I've experienced with. It's about the harmony of our hearts. Princess, you probably don't like anyone, so you think so?" Biyao halted her steps and asked in confusion, "Is that so?" "You're right, I don't have anyone I like. There are many people pursuing me, but all of them are as loathsome as Xingchen. I can tell with a single glance what they value. I'm a loathsome person, but they all like my identity as the daughter of a divine emperor." In truth, Biyao's temper was really too bad. Although she seemed fine now, who knew if she would die at any moment? Hence, Long Chen had to be careful when dealing with her. However, she was still a little strange. At this time, she was already very close to Long Chen. She blinked and asked, "Oh right, do you think I'm annoying? You did hate me at first, but I can see that. Later on, you saved me, so you didn't hate me that much anymore." Long Chen only felt that she was difficult to deal with. How could he dare to say that he hated her? With the divine emperor's daughter staring at him, he naturally shook his head. "In that case, I have a new idea. Listen carefully." Biyao cleared her throat. Long Chen felt that it was very likely that her new idea would be more troublesome. As expected, the other party said, "Since you think I'm pretty and don't hate me, I'll kiss you on the cheek. Count it as returning the favor. What do you think?" Hearing this, Long Chen thought for a moment. Of course, a kiss was a small matter. He was just afraid that there would be some changes in her heart in the future. Because this was ambiguous, he had to give her a signal to put an end to it. But if he refused, she would probably give him a slap. To her, this might mean that he hated her and didn't think she was pretty. "No, she's just testing me. Even if I agree, she definitely won't do it. After all, she's a heaven's proud daughter, and I'm not familiar with her. She definitely doesn't have any feelings for me." Thinking of this, Long Chen went all out. He nodded and said with a smile, "Of course." Indeed, Biyao was a little stunned. From what she knew before, Long Chen should be a very loyal person. Could it be that he was really tempted by her? "Come, I'm ready." Long Chen looked at her with a naughty smile. He knew that she was just scaring him. "Then I'll really do it. Don't regret it." Biyao looked at him suspiciously. Long Chen chuckled and said, "You're such a beauty, and you're also the daughter of a divine emperor. A favor in exchange for a kiss from you? Isn't that a very worthwhile deal? At the very least, it's worth a Genesis-level boundless divine technique." Biyao gritted her teeth and revealed her true nature. She stretched out her hand and wanted to slap Long Chen, but she resisted the urge. She said angrily, "You're really not a good person. Hurry up and scram. Don't dirty my eyes." Long Chen thought, "Looks like she wants to test whether I'm a loyal man or not. Now that she's discovered that I'm not, she's angry." Since she wanted him to leave, then his task was completed. The reason he wanted to be alone with her was because she had saved the wolf cub, so it was not good for him to refuse. Now that she had spoken, Long Chen quickly slipped away. Biyao was left alone on the city wall, trembling with anger. "Die." Her smooth little feet stomped on the city wall, and instantly, the entire city wall crumbled and turned into dust. Countless soldiers were crushed under the huge rocks. Chapter 2647. After returning to the 5 great dragon cities, Long Chen was greeted with the most respectful cheers. As expected of Long Chen. What no one else could accomplish, as long as he returned, although there were many twists and turns, he still easily accomplished it. Although it was Biyao who helped him, Biyao helping Long Chen was also one of Long Chen's abilities. Lingxi, Mo Xiaolang, Soyan, and Kitten had returned long ago and were waiting for him with the other dragon warriors. Receiving these heartfelt cheers, Longchen couldn't help but say, "This time, I've made everyone worried and scared. Although the world is different, no matter what difficulties we encounter in the future, as long as we unite, we will definitely be able to solve them." Putting aside the gods and just talking about the living beings of the dragon god domain, to be honest, the 5 great dragon cities were still the strongest. They had received the eternal chaos treasure's blessing. Although they didn't put in as much effort as the gods of the other cities, their progress was still quite fast. After that, he met with the 15 Dragon Emperor, Yang Yu, and the others one by one. Longchen briefly explained about the Curse Realm, reassuring everyone. He said, after today's incident, the gods will no longer come to harass the 5 great dragon cities. Thunder God from the 9th heaven was just an accident. Now that the God King of Hell is very optimistic about me, the other gods probably won't come looking for trouble for no reason. Everyone can be at ease. It's all thanks to you. After chatting for a while, Kitten suddenly appeared and asked sneakily, "Boss, how do you feel? Is that Biyao a virgin?" This guy's words had always been so shameless, especially now that they were in front of everyone. Longchen really wanted to seal his mouth. Lingxi knew that he was joking, so she didn't really care. She just glanced at Kitten angrily and said, "If you continue to gossip like this, even fewer girls will like you. Believe it or not, you will die alone." Kitten put his hands on his hips and said, "Then you can rest assured. With this young master's charm, no female species can resist me. Obediently crawl into my arms." After a while, Longchen separated from the crowd and returned to his residence, the Crimson Dragon Palace. "Big brother, thank you so much this time." Mo Xiaolang held Soyan's hand and said from behind. Longchen turned around and said, "We're brothers, so don't be so formal. Besides, I'm the one responsible for this, Xiaolang. Although it seems like we're being suppressed at the moment, there will be a day when they'll act according to our wishes. You won't be satisfied with that either, right?" The primordial gods were not as benevolent and wise as he had imagined them to be. Instead, they were a bunch of powerhouses filled with emotions and desires. Longchen had originally been very respectful towards them, but now, he no longer had that respect in his heart. "Yes." Mo Xiaolang nodded. Needless to say, they understood each other's intentions. It's a good thing that the two of you can improve together. If demon was killing intent affects you too much, you have to tell us in advance. Trust us." Longchen reminded her. Soyan nodded obediently and said, "I understand. Big brother Longchen will be leaving first." After saying that, they parted. Of course, they were cultivating nearby, and if they needed to communicate, they could just say so. To them, this bit of distance only took an instant. Finally, Lingxi was left alone. This delicate beauty smiled and looked at him. She knew Longchen's every move. Sitting under the eaves, Longchen wrapped his arms around her waist and placed them on her beautiful and smooth stomach. He whispered in her ear, "Actually, I don't know what this Biyao wants to do. Maybe she's just a mischievous child who likes to mess around. In the future, I'll have less contact with her. You don't have to tell me this." Lingxi's crystal clear eyes looked into the distance and said, "I understand you better than you understand yourself." Since that was the case, Longchen was at ease. Lingxi could always understand his intentions. This was the most beautiful part about her. "If there's nothing else, I'll cultivate in peace and strive to face the great calamity of gods and devils as soon as possible. I'll become a true god and reach the true dragon realm. In the future, we can search for traces of God Emperor Ling Su in this world and head to the Origin Dragon Palace to take a look. Maybe there will be new discoveries. I've discovered that the great calamity of gods and devils is coming soon. Will it be dangerous?" Longchen said solemnly, "It's my last calamity. Judging from the previous calamities, it definitely won't be simple. There will definitely be danger, but I have a certain degree of confidence now. If nothing unexpected happens, there shouldn't be a problem. That's good. Ling Shi also gently caressed her lower abdomen, her eyes filled with the radiance of motherhood. This child had caused her mentality to change greatly. She stared at the child in her abdomen and said, I reckon that she will be born in a few years. I must protect her well. Being a father, being a mother, that kind of feeling would make one grow up a lot. Following that, Long Chen started cultivating. Ling Shi accompanied him as he cultivated, not leaving his side at all. As Long Chen expected, no other gods came to find trouble with the 5 great dragon cities. They seemed to be busy with other things. The ancient cities of 72 divine descendants and the 5 great dragon cities lived in harmony. The influence of the gods spread throughout the dragon sacrificial dragon world, while the 5 great dragon cities lived in seclusion and no longer cared about worldly affairs. It seemed like the days were going to be peaceful like this. In fact, it wasn't.